Welcome back to EUniverse. We're going to be taking a look at LGC Rising 2026. We're going to be taking a look at the stage two here in the desk. We have Sim with me and Shope. I am Rufox. This is going to be a very exciting one. We did have Mental Rush winning the first stage, but before all of it, before we even get to the talking part, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go right into the format. We're going to take a look at how the stage two is going to go.
League of Legends Game Changers Rising is back. We've been blown away by the community support and we're ready to go. Players and fans, don't miss a beat with the essential info. The grind starts with 5 regular stages from May to September, giving players multiple opportunities to prove their worth. The season will then end with a final stage to crown the 2026 Game Changers champions. Every regular stage follows the same format but operates independently, providing a consistent and lasting competitive environment. Swiss stage on Saturdays. Playoffs starting on Sundays with quarters and semifinals. Grand final on Tuesdays. Throughout the year and with every stage, stakes will rise and teams will be fighting for precious circuit points to secure a spot for the final stage. Only the best will make it to the LGC 26 final. The 6 teams with the most points will be joined by the champions of the Equal Esports Cup and the Nova Series. While more details regarding the final stage are coming soon, one thing is certain: there are no shortcuts. You'd better be ready to climb. Lock in your squad now. Stage 1 begins on May 30. Sign-ups close on May 27th. It's time to step up your game.
It's time to step up your game as the level rises through these stages. Now, SIM and Shope, how are we feeling today for this stage two?
Personally, I'm super good. I'm so hyped. I don't know about you, but I am extremely hyped, yeah.
I'm also looking really forward to this weekend because there are so many teams that we've seen before already, also in the previous year. So I also can't be any more happy that Game Changers is back. Of course, we've had our first stage already, but now we are in the second stage. So perhaps we will see some upsets again, just like last time. Perhaps we will see what we expected at first. But hey, everyone's back. We can fight for something, and I feel like Trouble did a really good job explaining the format.
No, for sure she did. Now, we're going to be taking a look first at Vitality Rising Bees versus Brest Esports. I do see, Shope, that you have the KCB jersey on, but that's not who you're supporting here, right?
No, there is no KC in this event, and I am, to present a bit myself, I am the manager of the project Brest Esports. So I know very well the players. I'm very hyped about this match, even though it might be hard for us, but I will be happy anyway.
It's going to be hard for everyone. We do know as well, SIM, we know who you're supporting here as well. We do have Vitality Rising Bees on the other side, right?
I actually don't have my old Vitality jersey here because I wore it last weekend to the Riftbound Regional. But yeah, I do have one, and I wouldn't necessarily call myself a big supporter, but I have to say I've seen a couple of these players basically playing in my regional competition, being the Benelux. And there it was a combination of Rim and OP who got together because of Colombo, who was in the project of Once Upon a Team, and there they managed to get very far into playoffs. I think they even set a record for highest placed mixed team in an ERL. So therefore, I also have really high expectations of them. In a tournament like this, because if you can do this in an ERL, you should also be able to do this in other tournaments. So whether they have it, whether they would miss someone like Colombo because she's not playing for this lineup, we have Honda on the support role. We'll see, but I am really looking forward to see what OP and Rim can bring to the Rift. With the knowledge I already have of past split.
Yeah, I'm the newbie here, so I'm very excited. I have seen some of these players playing in solo queue. I'm excited to see them in the team format. Now, from stage 1 to stage 2, we had some changes in these rosters, especially with G2H and Blue Otter, if I'm not wrong. We might be able to see the graphic or not, but we have Izeri going out for Sakuromi for G2H, Rena coming out for Virtuosa for Blue Water, and we do have some other teams joining in on this stage as well. We have Booby Doo team, we have Brest Esports, and the Incredibles. So this is looking like a very stacked stage 2 for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that just going into a stage 2 like this with the format we've already had, like Trouble explained it really well in that every tournament counts. Like every stage that you're participating in, you don't like it's not just the money that you're playing for, but you're also playing for a lot of points, and all those points at the end of the day will accumulate towards trying to get towards that really like big finals at the end of the season. And well, I know that it's a lot of months away, but it also means that you cannot slack already. So you have to be here as fast as possible, try and get all of those points, and then, well, if you get there in the end, I think that's one of the biggest prestiges that you can have as a team.
No, for sure. And 5 stages, well, we love these circuits, especially because of that. It gives opportunities to everyone. Talking about circuit points, we do have Mental Rush. They were the winners of stage 1. They got 120 points accumulated. G2H are the second spot right now. They got 95 points, followed up right behind by Vitality Rising Bees with 76 points. Of course, Mental Rush did beat G2H in the finals of stage 1. So according to this format, it's a format that allows teams to fight up until the final stage to give everyone a, let's say, an equal chance, because it's basically it's an equal chance up until September, until the final stage. Now, focusing more on this matchup between Rising Bees and Brest Esports, I'm going to throw it to you, Shop, right away. You're the manager. You know these players. We do have a stand-in today, so what can you tell us about the players?
The players actually know this kind of format. We like, especially for jungle mid AD carry, they played together for a long time, and they did qualify to the playoffs of Coupe des Étoiles in 2024 with a format like that, with points to win every event. And in game, there are players that will. I think they are fearless because like they can face strong teams and still try their best usually. And yeah, they are players with a lot of surprises, I think, and that know each other a lot. So usually they have a lot of synergy together.
Yeah, that's awesome. We also see this lineup: Yukiko, Diane, Sona, Lunafin, and Kasane for Brest Esports. We do have a change here, a last-minute change, which is Pivotless playing in for Yukiko. What can you also tell us about Pivotless? I know you guys, even the dual casters that we have for today, they were talking about Pivotless a lot in the back room or in the green room. So what can you tell us about Pivotless?
Pivotless had joined us just this week, so we did not had a lot of scrims. But for the people that know her for her previous experience, like for example with Solari last year, we can tell she's. I know Diane call her a Xante merchant because she's absolutely insane in Xante. She's a very good weak sider. Weak side player. Sorry.
Yeah.
So she can adapt to the team from my point of view, and she's I don't know. She does not ask a lot of attention for the jungle and for the rest of the team, but still have a strong presence in the games.
And that's what we love from our top lane. Top lane is an island, right? Like just let the players do whatever they want to do on top, and they'll eventually join the team fights. Now on the other side, we have Vitality Rising Bees. They have a prestigious Swiss stage on stage 1, 5-0, falling on the lower bracket to ETR on stage 1. We're gonna take a look at that roster really quickly as well. That roster there is composed of I'm taking a look at my roster list, but I'm not oh, here we go. So it's gonna be OP, Delicate, Rim, Cosmic, and I don't know if this name is correct. I need to see the graphic because I don't know if this is correct. It is correct.
It is correct.
Yeah.
It is correct.
Okay, we got a bike model here in the Summoner's Rift. We got Honda CBR 500R, so it's short for Honda. So yeah, we do have the Vitality Rising Beast lineup. SIM, I'm gonna ask you, what can you tell us of the two players that played on your ERL last year?
The thing is that I haven't seen them for super long, and that's mostly because the original lineup of Once Upon a Team, if I want to do a callback to the team, just had Colombo on it with for other players, but during the split they felt like they had very little time in originally scouting, and they had a mid laner that wasn't really performing up to standards. They had a top laner that was maybe a bit too flippy, and so slowly but steadily Colombo just called in the backup girls saying like, hey Rim, hey OP, we also need you to play for this team because currently it's not going the way that we want it to go, and Once Upon a Team really wants to get to playoffs. And in the end they did get to playoffs. They were our 5th seed, so they had to start in the lower bracket. But then you have to keep in mind that above them were 4 teams. They played against 2 of them in the end during their run, and they beat both. Like, they won against a version of Dynasty who had all players from KC Blue Stars, which is I think it's Matis V, how I should pronounce it. Also a really talented rookie. Like, we're expecting big things of them, but that team, that lineup, lost in the end against a team of Once Upon a Team that just came together, played really well, even though they had very little practice together. And it does show that the individual prowess of these two, of these 2 players is just amazing. It is good to see. Rim had a really great debut on the Benelux as well when they were playing their best of 3. She instantly showed her that, showed us that she had pocket picks. Like, her looks was deathless. Like, she was going really hard on the champion, so that is something that if they ever need a pocket pick, if they ever need a situation like that, that is a champion that's always available. And then OP, even though she came on much later, also showed that she can play both strong side and weak side. Like, the thing with the player that she replaced being Eggman was that he always claimed a strong side, he always wanted to play something like a Jace, etc., even in bad matchups. And then OP came in and was like, I'm okay with playing Gnar, I'm okay with playing Cassante, like, we can play for other victory conditions as well. So just having those jack-of-all-trades kind of players in a lineup is something that I really like. And then, well, Vitality Rising Beast is a team that was rated fairly highly, also by their competition. The thing is that, well, you are playing series where you instantly have to show that you're there. So if you lose a best of 3 series in 2 games against a team like Mental Rush, which is also a team not to be underestimated, then you will drop down to that lower bracket, and then, well, the highest you can place for is 3rd or 4th spot. So if they want to keep the momentum going, you just have to win everything in a row until you get to those grand finals on the Tuesday. And that is something that I then want to see starting today, that the Vitality Rising Beasts have found their footing again, and that they do not get have the slip-ups that they had during the last stage.
Yeah, speaking of Mental Rush, you did mention something very interesting, which is the fact that we have a lot of predators here when it comes to all of the teams here. Mental Rush being the main one, they're looking to pounce onto that stage to win once more. They are already in the Hall of Champions. They won the first stage once again, beating G2H in the finals. So, well, they want to pounce for that second one as well. Of course, being a Fox, I don't know if a Fox really pounces. Does she? Does a fox really bounce? I don't really know, but they do make some cute noises, so the cuteness might go away for the stage too. Of course, we see the leaderboard here as well. As I said, Mental Rush in the top lead with 120, G2H with 95, Vitality Rising Bees with 76. Of course, we do have some of the other teams on the right side of the scale with less than 10 points, which we're probably... I'm taking a look here at the stage 1 as well, and they're most likely the ones, or not most likely, they're the ones that fell on the lower side of the brackets during Swiss stage, which is unfortunate. But once again, stage 2, it's like a balloon of fresh air here for every team, again on the stage 2 for this LGC Rising 2026, so they have a new opportunity. Now, we will be shortly into the game in a few minutes, but I do want to touch as well in terms of, you mentioned pocket picks, SIM, so I want to talk about those as well. I do not know exactly what they play in terms of comps, any of these teams. Like I said, I'm the newbie around the block for LGC, so I took a look at some OPGGs. I saw some standard being played on the middle. I saw some Cassiopeia on the side of Breast Esports. I saw some Gwen on top side. So do we believe that we can take a look at mostly pocket picks here for some of these players, or are we going to see like just standard drafts?
In my opinion, for the first games, I think like Brest Esports has like nothing to lose kind of mentality for this one because obviously Vitality
good.
will be the favorites. So I do think we can have pocket picks, but I don't know how it went with the coach. I did not listen. Usually I know everything that has been prepared, but today I will be as surprised as everyone. But like we can do both. We can do classic, but I think we might try to surprise the enemy because that's probably the best chance for us to get a win.
I think that's something that's really cool, right, about the best of one system, because some teams, they will only play meta. They might be perhaps a little bit over prepared on that. They might oversee some pocket picks, and the fact that you can get them off and you can get them to work also because you're not playing the highest of the high where everyone is expected to only play meta. It just makes so much sense to just pick the champion that you're comfortable on, and whether that is your standard Orianna mid lane or it is a Zoe support or something else that is maybe a little bit more solo queue-esque, as long as you're proficient on it, it is something that you can get to a win. So I'm also really hoping to see a lot of draft variety today, to see some hot and spicy champion picks. And well, if Shope, you're already saying that Brest is the start of that, is a team that can show me that, then I'm already happy for the rest of the day that I can have one match with just some champions that I did not expect to see at the start of the day.
Yeah, I feel like we don't really get a lot of chance to see some of these champions, right? Like some of the off-meta champions that you do get to see in solo queue. I would love to see that as well. I'm going to be honest. Ever since the Portuguese League, I have been hoping for a Teemo game. I want to see a Teemo being played today. That little monster has been a devil in my games in the jungle, so I want to see a Teemo jungle. But jokes aside, yeah, I do hope to see some of those pocket picks for, especially for under roles of like support and ADC. I do see some of these players. We already were talking on the green room. Some of these players have been spamming some Zoe support, of course, off-role champions. So I'm curious to see some of that. I would like to see, especially around the mid. I feel like on the mid we've been getting pretty safe around like the meta picks, like the Cassiope, the Talia, the Ryze. I would like to see something different. I saw some of these players spamming some Yasuo as well. I would like to see some Yasuo, some Hui. Hui has been getting really strong. That would be something really interesting, Shope.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting. Also, I think in jungle we can have pocket picks as well. That's probably like
spicy.
I'm not sure because she can, like for the first game of this event, maybe she will prefer be chill. But I know she also has like specific picks in certain conditions that she likes to play. And she likes spicy picks basically, maybe more than the rest of the team. But I think pretty much every role can try things. I think Pivotless will probably stick to comfortable champs because she's new to the team. And she told me right away, like, I can play weak side, chill, don't mind about me. So I think we can, we will probably have surprises more around the jungle, in my opinion.
Well, the jungle is definitely a role that you can bring some fresh surprises onto the table. We've been getting used to seeing some of those meta picks as well in Jarvan and Pantheons and Xin especially. What do we think could come out of these pockets today, SIM? Do we feel like a Gragas jungle, maybe? Something like that. Something spicy.
If anything, something that I've really been looking forward to, also with the addition of runes like Deathfire Touch a couple months ago by now, are champions like Brand and Zyra that we've seen in the past. It took a long time to basically get back up, but you have some players who still persistently play them through solo queue because they are carry champions in the end. But I don't know whether we'll be seeing champions like that. Like, my eyes for the past couple of patches have mostly been on like AP Zinzao, because that champion on mid lane or on top lane felt like it's such a crazy duelist, and now we're two patches in, he's been nerfed 2 times in a row already, so I don't know how viable it still is. But I just really enjoy seeing a champion that isn't supposed to be in a role just be OP for 1 patch, and then it's like, oh, I'm playing a melee champion into a range matchup, this should be unplayable, hits a minion 3 times, I'm full HP again, it's completely fine.
Yep.
So I still fear that we won't be seeing him because of the nerfs, but if anything, like, that is something that I'll be looking forward to if it actually gets locked in, since it's not just the AP Zinzao for the mid and top flex, but it's also the Zinzao that you take away from your enemy jungle or just from your own jungler just to have a flex pick ready.
Well, that could be very interesting, especially because, especially in EMEA Masters, we did see some. While I was scouting some players, I saw some of that Zyra jungle being played, not in EMEA Masters, but on the ERLs. So that can be very interesting, actually. That is a very good point. A lot of people are abusing, or not really abusing, but they're using that Deathfire touch to the most that they can, especially around off. Let's call them off rolls because, well, it's been mostly used for mid laners. But that can definitely be a spicy pick. I would like to see a Zyra jungle. Actually, I haven't seen a Zyra jungle. I feel like we had some streamers that were playing a lot of those like spicy picks for the jungle. I can remember like Night Blue picking like Morgana jungle and stuff like that. We did see a few years back as well being standard of TF jungle with AD like a lot of years ago, right? So that would be something interesting, especially in the best of one, right? Like I feel like in the best of one, the stakes are higher, but like Shope said, some of these spicy picks can definitely be picked because, well, it's the best of one. You're not going to be able to ban all champions. You don't have a lot of chances, so you're going to have to face, even if it's a solo queue comp, it is what it is. Now, before I move on, apparently we have a little bit of a delay here and we still don't have an ETA on the draft or when the game starts, so we're going to toss it to a break really quickly and we'll be right back after this quick ad break. Welcome back to EUniverse. I think we're about ready to get into the draft in a few seconds. We're going to take a look if those spicy picks are going to come out of those pockets or not. But yeah, I feel like we already talked a little bit about what kind of picks could come out of both teams. We also talked about what to expect from them. Now, my question is, as we wait for the draft, I want to ask, especially SIM, I want to ask you, in terms of pacing, you know some of these players, so what can we expect in terms of pacing as we wait for this draft? Because I know that when I take a look at some ERLs, some of the teams really like in pacing and micro play, so do we believe that we can expect some prestigious micro play from some of these teams?
The thing is, the experience that I have with a couple of players on the Vitality roster when they were playing for Once Upon a Team is that they really wanted to play around bot side. So they had an AD carry that was, well, really good mechanically with champions like Ezreal but also Draven. So they want to play an early game tempo into playing for dragons, and the moment you can get the dragons up and going, the rest of the draft basically plays out itself. But now that you are playing with, of course, a different team and different players, I feel like the pacing will in the end be decided by what champions will be on the board at the end of the day, right? Like, even if you want to play a fast pacing, but you're playing with, let's say, a Smolder on bot lane, then, well, I don't think that fast pacing will be a thing unless your Smolder magically gets 3 or 5 kills in the first 5 minutes. So I'm just looking at what will be the priority picks, what kind of meta are we currently drafting in. I feel like the meta is kind of still in comparison to how it was at the end of EMEA. I think that we will be seeing kind of the same things. But then those pocket picks, they might be the big surprises, and they might decide whether we are playing for high tempo with a lot of pick-off potential, like with champions like the Lux, for instance, that you can play with perhaps an early game jungler. If we see something like the Jarvans, like you said before, but maybe like also a Rek'Sai that's more solo queue-esque. And then combine that with either a win condition on your top side, with a strong side top, or on your bot side when we are looking at, well, your classic hyper carries that can also snowball in the early stages. I think those are just the main things that we'd be looking at, and then the draft will show mostly how that would be going. And the first champion to go to make sure that we will not have ultra slow pacing is the Senna, because this champion with Deathfire Touch, we've seen what it can do. It is kind of disgusting, and I'm happy to see it leave the Rift.
Yeah, the draft is live, and I do have to say, okay, I've been spamming some Senna solo queue. I did mention on the last EUniverse stream that I was a Senna hater. I am no longer a Senna hater. I can actually see the value. Finally, I can see the value.
He's been converted. He's been converted. What do we do?
Especially because I play DC, so this is gonna be. I can tell that this is gonna be a very rough few months until it gets patched out for sure. But we do see the Karma being banned on the other side, which just tell me that, at least from the side of Vitality, Rising Beast, we're going to go for a standard, more kind of standard banning phase. We might see some of those prior picks going out, maybe the Jarvan as well, the Xin Zhao. Okay, on the other side, Brest Esports, we got the Zoe ban. What's going on here?
Yeah, the Zoe is probably for him. Like, she's a very good player on Zoe. Is probably a champ. I think she played it in Benelux, but I'm not sure. I think she did. And like, from all I remember for her past year with like G2 and with Solari, she had crazy Zoe. I like this ban so much because I hate the champ. And I like the Senna ban because I am not agreeing with you, Rufox. I did not care about Senna. And now I absolutely hate it so much after this, I don't know, buff or whatever happened to Senna. I hate this champ so much now. I can't face it. I'm gonna cry.
It's funny because I used to hate it as well, especially because I still have this opinion where I feel like Senna does get more attention in support. It gets more real estate on support, especially because you're free to scale. You don't have that pressure of being the reliable AD carry. You just have to work with your kit, which is very, very good for survivability. But, well, she's been playing on ADC, so you just gotta deal with it, show, because we do have a Bard ban as well from the side of Brest Esports, which does tell me they don't want to face that dual lane of Bard Caitlyn or even the Bard. I'm going to throw the Ezreal on that. Ezreal is fairly okay with Bard. On the other side, you have the Seraphine ban. As we look at the last ban from Vitality Rising Bees, we have the Lux. SIM, you are on point.
Yeah, but that is their own Lux that they're banning. Like I'm guessing that Sona also plays Lux, so that's probably something like or the reason why they want to take it away as a priority pick, so that if they cannot play it, then their opponents can also not play it. But it is interesting to see that the power scaling of this champion is being gauged in a way that we're comfortable in, but the enemy is also comfortable in it, so we just have to take it out of the equation. And then the response from Brest is going to be the first pick Lulu. That I feel like, okay, normally we see that counter pick is being reserved for support later on in the draft, but this time around we just see instantly Lulu being slammed, and that sets up for, well, your hyper carry draft, but also a lot of options for the Rising Beast to, well, put up a strong support against it.
Well, if we go for the meta side, I do believe that we're going to see the Lulu Yunara most likely. On the other side, ooh, this is getting spicy. I can see, like, you've been talking about it. You're like,
what are they doing?
You're like the LGC Oracle at this point, SIM. We do see the Zyra. Now, this can be flex. We're going to prio this as flex. So, it can either be jungle, it can either be mid, it can either be support. It can be everything. What do we think about this Zyra pick? Do we get the spicier side of the draft in this first round?
Personally, for what I know from Delicate, when you mentioned it earlier, I think it's a pick she likes, because I think I saw her play it, and
for the jungle,
it's a champ I associate to her. And the pick Caitlyn, maybe that's what you said, like the Yunara Lulu might be the prio for Brest Esports, so it's a very good Caitlyn blind. Let's see if they head into this draft.
Yeah, it definitely applies a lot more pressure. I feel like the Caitlyn is one of those champions where you have like a silent timer. We do see the Yunara being locked with a Lulu. That's what it's expected from a Lulu. So, having this timer, how do we feel like this Yunara can do against this Caitlyn? And what options do we feel like can pair up good with Caitlyn now that Bard is off SIM?
I was also thinking about it because I feel like for the most of the time we see Caitlyn being combined with champions that can either CC to guarantee a Yordle Snaptrap combination,
Nautilus is open.
Or to play it in a full-on poke lane with like the Karma Ezreal also could have been like a Karma Caitlyn, but with Karma off the table also of course cannot be locked in anymore.
Yeah.
I do still believe that no matter what this matchup will be, you do have that early strength of the Caitlyn having the range advantage on the Yunara, so it's very difficult to trade until you have your full Q stacked on Yunara to take a little bit of an all-in burst trade against the Caitlyn. But it is such a strange power curve to play into when, well, Caitlyn is a champion that was known before as having a strong early game, then falling off a cliff mid-game, and then late game she just one-shots again with headshots.
Yep.
And now those headshots get enabled so much earlier because of the AD carry quest, just giving so much more extra gold so you can get to those 100% crit chance spikes much earlier into the game, that you have, it feels like your laning phase is going to be very rough, but you have Lulu to pick up a little bit of the damage with the shields. But then mid-game, this is your window of opportunity. This is where you have to fight, win the team fight, and hopefully snowball the game. Because if this Caitlyn gets to those 4 items, it is going to be really rough playing into it. Because now it's sure you have Lulu next to you, it will take 2 auto attacks instead of 1, but that's still 2 auto attacks from like 700, 750 range, something like that. So that it will be very rough to play into.
No, it's very scary to play against this Caitlyn on all kinds of champions. Honestly, I feel like you can play any champion in the champion pool as an carry and still be afraid. Now we do see the Nautilus being locked for Vitality Rising Bees, a power duo on bot lane. We do see the cast being banned. I like that cast. On the other side, the Rise being banned from Brest Esports. And Shope, I gotta throw it to you because it doesn't matter the bans at this point. Like, we've been seeing some bans, but we've been seeing some very independent picks. Does this Rise mean that maybe Brest Esports want to go some Anivias, want to go some Victors? Do we believe that?
It's definitely possible. I think Anivia, I'm not sure it would be a flex pick, so I don't know if we want to try it on blue side. But like what surprised me in the bans is the Casio ban, because I'm not sure we have one. But thank you, Vitality, to ban this, to be sure. But I think
I saw that Sono was playing some cast on solo queue. I think some games.
Maybe she could.
Maybe they did that scouting. Yeah,
I know
maybe they did that scouting.
She's trying to improve her champion pool. She added like a few more champs for this year compared to last year. So maybe Casio was in it and I did not ask her because I let my coach do his thing. with the players. I know he advised them some chance to try out in solo queue. So
we love a good structure for sure. We do love a good structure, and good delegation is above all. So they certainly did see something on that cast. Well, I do believe that maybe that Cassiopeia ban could be just a standard ban of like, we don't want to face Cassiopeia because once again, I feel like Cassiopeia does not have true hard counters. Like you just play around her and pray that something happens. Ari is the last ban from the side of Breast Esports, and this is spicy as well. 2 spicy picks in one draft. God damn, we got the Yon for the mid lane.
Yeah, I think that Rising Beast was kind of struggling with the same question that I had, just looking at their draft, saying like, okay, you now have an AP jungler, what are you going to pair with it? Because sure, you can play AP mid with it, but it also would mean that you are looking for an AD Bruiser on the top lane. Yeah. And now they went with the Yone that isn't necessarily a guarantee to go into mid, because it can still be flexed towards top lane, but at least it keeps your options open. And if the matchup on mid lane is good, you can keep it on mid lane, or at least playable, you can keep it on mid lane. If you for some reason get like an enormous advantage on the top lane by switching it up, then you still have the option to switch it up. But then the answer to that from Brest is instantly locking in that Victor, which I really like for the control. And then I think that they're just going to look for either... I don't know if you want to put another tank with it since you already have Mundo, but since Mundo also does a lot of AD damage with his E passive, I think that you might still be able to do that. And then they are going with the Poppy, so that will lock out your Yone from being played on the top lane.
Yeah, that is definitely a great pick from Breast Esports. I do like that Victor being picked. A lot of zoning potential across the team fight, especially with a Zyra and a Yon on the side of Vitality and Rising Beast. That Poppy, I think it's mandatory, right? Like, I feel like Yon is too much of an hyper carry to even allow him to just roam the map freely and gank and do whatever he wants freely. So I feel like that Poppy ban was like, Poppy pick was like mandatory. Now on the okay, hold up. Vitality Rising Beast locking the way. What is this? The flex into the flex into the flex, dude. The triple flex, triple down. Okay, do we believe that this might be a Yon top? Because Wei cannot be played top, right?
Yeah. I think
the big
so.
question is, what else? Are we like if we're really cooking? If we're really cooking, it could be Zyra mid with Wei top and Yone jungle. But I'm hoping that we're not.
Wait, hold Yone jungle. Hold up. We're overcooking around here. Hold up. Wait, is that viable though? Like Yone jungle, is that a thing? I mean,
it's been a while.
About like Morgana jungle,
right? It would be very weird, I think. But I've seen Ezreal jungle.
You've seen Ezreal jungle.
Yeah, I've seen...
I mean, to be fair, the other day I played a solo queue against the Nocturne mid again. It brought me right back to 2014, and I was like, what am I doing here? No, but these are 2 very different drafts, right? Like 2 very different executions. Of course, Breast Esports went for the more traditional kind of execution. Yep. I do like the Mundo on the jungle as well. It feels very natural, and especially, we did talk about that silent timer on the Caitlyn side. Well, now they got another whole problem. They got a lot of damage, but they got to face that Mundo on the front line. That is going to be interesting and wild from the side of Breast Esports.
Yeah,
I think when I'm looking at drafts like this, sorry, Show, but
yeah,
that I really like to go by the saying of a co-caster of mine in the Benelux, which is Dutch Sword. He always says that he plays by the rules of KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. And I feel like Vitality Rising Beast, with their draft, it is like a real high skill ceiling execution draft with a lot of carry potential in the hands of 4 players, but it also means that you have to divide your resources so precisely that even dropping a single wave that you shouldn't be dropping could be a disaster in your late game economics. Whilst for Brest, you have a couple of champions that are playing for other win conditions, so dropping an extra wave of dropping a bit of extra gold doesn't have that big of an impact onto the rest of the carries, as long as your Yunara and Victor can get their income like straight. So in that regard, I would prefer in execution the team composition of Brest Esports, even though I am a big hater of the Mundo jungle in current days.
Come on, you gotta love
that's
Mundo.
That's an entirely different story.
Mundo goes very places.
It does add to it that the Rising Beast, like I said, they have a higher execution ceiling. If they can get it up, it's really difficult for Brest to play into a composition like this. And it feels like it's just your standard draft of like, oh, we think we are the better team, so we will just plain out try and hand diff our opponents. If we do, we do. If we don't, it is only the first game of a Swiss stage. So who cares? There's still like a couple more games to go to get yourself qualified.
Yeah, pretty much. Shope, you did have something to say about this draft, so we want to hear your thoughts as well, because, well, this is a very damage-heavy draft from Vitality Rising Bees. Do you believe that your team can just look for that win condition and just solidify this first win in the Swiss stage?
I think they're like, how can I say? Like Pivotless has a good voice on keeping the team to the plan we made. You know, like we can try to have a plan. Sometimes we are losing a bit and I think Pivotless likes to make us remember, like, don't forget, this is the game plan. Don't go too far. So I think she has calm voice. Yukiko used to do it as well, so she's literally like stealing her main champ Poppy and having pretty much the same impact in the game. So if my team sticks to the plan that they have, they know how to play around the bot lane and with like this Victor, like it's champs I know and champs they know how to play in teams. So I think they can, like, if they stick to the plan, I would say, and not shifting plans, they should be able to surprise a bit Vitality. But like the Vitality comp scares me so hard because they, like, if one of them is really fed, it like one person can just 1v9, I think.
Yeah, and it just feels like it's such a high threat, right? Like I feel like I look at that Wei and Yon, and I feel like I'm being attacked from the distance of 3 monitors. Like they can attack me like from 2 countries away. It's insane.
Yeah.
On the other side, you did mention the fact that playing around bot, you do have a Mundo jungle. Mundo is not the most proficient in terms of lane ganks. It has a really hard time going into that lane gank. So it's going to be mainly fights around him on the jungle, getting a lot of those prios. Now, SM, how do we feel about these lane prios? Because we know the victory against the Yon early game is going to be quite a bit of a skirmish. But on the bot side, that Lulu, Yunara, I feel like they're always going to be fighting against that Caitlyn Nautilus.
Yeah, they might as well be. I really wonder what's like currently being communicated in voice comms, because on one hand you can ask the Mundo to be permanently pathing towards the bot side because you also feel that the enemy jungler might do that for the ganking pressure of a Zyra on an already strong bot lane, so you can hopefully relieve some pressure by constantly forcing 3v3s with no outcome. But at the same time, if your Yunara Lulu is strong enough to just stand their ground, just the 2 of them, you could also make the decision to path towards the completely different side, where you do have a at least early game favorable matchup into the Yone with Poppy, where you can ground him, make sure that he cannot escape, and the early game damage, like base damage incorporated, is what we call it in my friend group when it comes to Poppy. So that is something that you have to be afraid of when you can also get some pressure with the Mundo there. So it really depends on what the approach is going to be from Brest. But if I want to stay with what I said earlier as well, with the keep it simple stupid ruling, I really like the team of a Vitality Rising Beast, but I will have to go with Brest to hopefully start this day with the first upset of the day, because that would be amazing if they can pull it off.
We have a little bit of a delay here. Apparently there was, I think it was a pause as the game started. So, or we had like some kind of problem with VRB. So we're going to get into the game as soon as possible. But I do feel like this is a very, we did mention as well as soon as they drafted, a very different kind of execution. We talked about how the win conditions is different from both teams as well. We know exactly how Brest Esports want to win this, right? Like, go for those drakes, go for that soul, get that win condition very quote-unquote by the book. Now, Vitality Rising Bees, are we expecting them to skirmish every single minute of the game? Because when I look at that comp, I look at the Yon, I look at the Zyra, and I look at the Wei. They want to skirmish. They don't care about the objectives. They just want to fight. Do we believe that that's what they're going for?
Yeah, I think so. I think like if I look at just the lineup, OP, Rim, for example, like for me, they're the one that stand out in my mind. Talking about the skirmish, I think they will try to push the players into their like out of their comfort zone and push them to make mistakes and just. I think they will try to individually win all of their matchup and try to to push my players to in a bad situation, so they cannot play the objectives as you mentioned. I think they will try to make individual standouts for every player.
And let's see that if that's what really is going to happen inside the Rift or not. But we have talked enough. You guys already know our perspective, so we're going to throw it to Luna and Black Boxers to see what their perspective about the spicy drafts are going to be.
Thank you so much, guys. Welcome in. My name is Luna. I'm joined by Black Boxer, as mentioned. It's been a long time, man. It's been quite a long time. Now, we were looking over this draft, and we had thoughts of our own coming into it, right? I think this isn't what we were expecting for game one of the day.
No, I mean, you can understand why as Vitality you'd want to come in swinging, but this is a particularly aggressive draft, and it was one that they drafted themselves in a very interesting way, using a lot of flex picks, really trying to bait Brest into making some errors, getting themselves a composition that maybe they weren't so comfortable on. I think in the end, Brest have actually come out pretty well in this situation. They've got a composition that overall works very well. I think SM was highlighting that brilliantly, that it's just quite a nice, simple overall composition, but Vitality have a lot to play around here.
Yeah, they absolutely do. Not to mention, the early game is theirs.
Yeah, very, very much so, right? You've obviously drafted to play around the early game anytime you've got yourself a Caitlyn and want to get aggressive in that lane. If it was the Caitlyn Zyra, it would have been a super aggressive lane. You have to win that early on, otherwise things are going to go very wrong for you. Alongside the Nautilus, you've got a few more options. If you aren't able to super get the Caitlyn rolling, it's okay. There are ways to play it a little bit later on, but again, this was highlighting it. It is all about skirmishing. It's all about trying to get ahead as early as possible, mainly because you're going to run into some pretty big problems later on if the Mundo is able to just sort of chill his way through the early game, get super tanky. As much as you have a lot of damage available to you, it can still be a massive problem just having the Mundo running straight at you, buying space for that Yunara and that Victor to do what they want.
Absolutely, and the tank killing is largely on this Yone. Caitlyn, not notoriously very great for it. The Zyra can, but it's much slower, so this Mundo could really prove to be the straw that breaks the camel's back as we get later into this game. But getting to that point without a lead is going to be difficult, because every tool on the side of Vitality Rising Bees is there to generate these leads.
Yeah, very, very much so, right? Everything is fully looking at just trying to get as much going as early on as possible, and you've got a lot of different options to be potentially playing around the mid lane. Unlikely to be particularly a big focus in and of itself. If somebody's overstepping, potentially, but both of these champions can get their ways from pretty far away, should be safe enough. So you're really going to be focusing either on the top lane or down in the bottom side of the map. Now, usually I would say it's just bottom side of the map focus, especially for Vitality, but we do have to remember the players that are in this game. With Pivotless up in the top lane, even on something like the Poppy, I can still expect some explosivity, some aggressive plays, some attempts at the 1v1 kills, and that could potentially draw our junglers up towards the top side of the map, looking for over-aggressive plays to potentially punish, or to help out, make a dive happen, and then really turn that into a lane that you can play around.
Yeah, absolutely can. I mean, Poppy, notorious for kind of random lane 1v1 kills. You don't really expect the damage coming out of a Poppy. Mundo, not a heavy ganker, but if you do find the angle to just walk up into this lane and pop someone on the head who's low, it can really start to accelerate you to that point of, I'm just going to stand here and never die in your face. So, on one hand, we expect action to happen around the bot lane. On the other, expectations can be subverted to try and almost nullify the early game coming from the Vitality bot side.
Yeah, I think you really just want to slow things down as Brest. That's what you're looking to do. Like you said, the Mundo not super heavy on the ganking, and that could potentially affect things. If you're getting a lot of ganks coming through from the Zyra, which can play very early on, ganks pretty well, and has lanes with a lot of CC to be able to play around, and you sort of begin to fall behind, things can really begin to tip out of your favor. That being said, you really don't have to do too much to slow the pace of the game down when you've got yourself champions like the Victor, the Mundo, the Lulu. These are all champions that can absorb a lot of pressure, slow things down, and then if you do want to roam around, you can roam Pivotless out of that top lane and go and get involved in these other lanes with the Poppy to make these ganks happen a little bit more, because you don't really have that much hard CC early on in this game, so you just do have to slow things down, and that's good for them.
Absolutely is. As we get onto the Rift for game number 1 of the day, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a slow uptake, but we got there. We are happy to start the job off right. Now then. Just a slight pause after the pause. There was a pause as we got into game, so that should kick just in a moment. There we go. We are seeing these bot lanes move in just to get brush control, standard in the current meta. I don't think we'll see anything pre-level 3 anywhere, though.
And we might see some early aggressive trading. You know, it's not uncommon for people to, you know, blow a couple summoner spells, see if they can catch an opponent lacking, but I do agree that's not really going to be that heavy look. It's going to be very interesting to see how much explosivity we have pre-level 6 in general, right? These are not necessarily junglers who are relying on their level 6s to make ganks happen, right? These are not Vi's, these are not Wukongs. So instead, we might just see these champions playing it a little bit slower throughout the first couple of levels, really waiting for somebody to declare a little bit of an over-aggressive push and make things happen. Again, so much is on Vitality here to get their game going early on. So for Brest, they don't need to over-aggress. They can just chill out a little bit.
They absolutely can. Seeing mirrored pathing coming through from the junglers, both going top to bot. So as expected, action will be happening around this bottom side. The onus is on Vitality Rising Bees to make something happen, of course, as this game goes later. If things stay even, all the cards are in Brest's hands.
Absolutely. And of course, Vitality coming in off of what was a pretty good stage 1 for them. We're able to get 3rd place overall, looking to continue that and potentially get an even higher placed finish right here. So again, you're coming in as the favourites with a pretty aggressive composition overall. I do think it just puts Vitality in a very comfortable position, if a little bit pressured.
Yeah, pressure I think is the best way to put it. You want to make something happen. You kind of need to if you don't want to get outscaled. There's not much more that can be said for the side of the Rising Bees. As we come to the end of the first clears, we might see a fight over Scuttle, which would benefit Vitality Rising Bees slightly more, given the pressure they've got in the bottom side.
Indeed it would, but this clear is going to be that much faster coming through from Vitality. Instead, could potentially look for a gank here. Oh my!
Oh, a beautiful hook finds its way to Sana. Gets one shot, barrier comes out, but a headshot's there to find it. Didn't even need Delicate to come in, as Cosmic and Honda just completely ripped the enemy bot lane to shreds.
Yeah, I mean, that was a crazy amount of damage. What you can expect, though, out of the Caitlyn early on, you get caught by just one of those snap traps, and all of a sudden, you're going to put yourself in a very bad spot, and with a big wave underneath the tower as well. Things not looking so good down on the bottom side of the map here for Brest. Vitality getting everything they wanted early on. I mean, we'll see what the full item purchase is going to be, but this bot lane is going to be incredibly one-sided now. Yeah, full BF sword coming on through. This one's a little bit unplayable down in the bottom side.
Yeah, most definitely. At this point, this Caitlyn is going to start to half-health you with a headshot without any crit.
Yep.
It is not going to be fun to play into. Storm Razor well on its way to being built, if I had to make a guess, as we see low health in the mid lane. Not quite going to burn down. We're going to see a Severing Bolt to try and find the kill. Doesn't seem the case, as Diane is topside. Looking to help Pivotless find something onto OP. Quite going to find the kill. As Delicate is here to dissuade. See if they can get this wave out of tower and just get this Yone out nice and safely.
Oh boy, yeah, this early game already tilting very far in the favor of Vitality. Not quite able to make that kill happen in the mid lane, so that's at least another lane that hasn't begun falling behind. And I think this is going to put some extra pressure right here onto Diane and Pivotless, as the two lanes that are still doing pretty well for themselves haven't fallen behind too far. You know, you're down a little bit of CS right here as the Poppy, but that's to be expected in this lane. And you really do just need to be some bastions of strength right here, because you're looking to get through this early game as much as possible. And so far, that's not going to be easy.
It's not indeed. Another good hook going to land, coming through from Honda there. Sane forced to step towards the Caitlyn. Does drop the polymorph to deny some of the damage. Slowly but surely, the leads are being generated inside of Vitality Rising Bees. 1.2 thousand gold in the lead and climbing.
And that's pretty important in this matchup when the power spikes come at such different times, right? First item coming through is really when Vitality are beginning to get online. They're going to start rolling. 2 items is where they're really spiking. That's the point which they're going to be looking for all of the skirmishes they can, playing as aggressively as possible. Whereas for BE, I mean, you're really waiting for 3, even 4 items to come through for your Yunara, for your Victor. That's a long, long way in the future, and so beginning to fall behind already just pushes that breakpoint further and further into the future, and makes it less and less likely that you're actually going to hit it.
Absolutely does. As first dragon of the game will go across to Vitality. Picked up solo by Delicate there. It is a Ocean Dragon, and Hextech is the next one coming up for us, so our Soul will be Mountain, Infernal, Cloud, or Chemtech.
Some pretty good ones there, some pretty good ones for these teams. Obviously, something Infernal would be pretty fun to watch. I don't think any of these teams are really going to be focusing too heavily, specifically, on those souls. Instead, I think really as Vitality, you're looking to just hoover up everything. You've got yourself pressure in the bot lane coming through, some good pressure in the top lane as well, and that's making these objectives very easy to step up to. Haven't really seen too much invading coming on through from either of these junglers, not particularly heavy invade junglers, but as we see the pressure continue on from Vitality, that could potentially be another avenue for just getting yourself further and further ahead as Vitality.
Yeah, most certainly could be. See the grub spawning in about 1 minute and 20 seconds. We'll see if there are any roams up towards that, or if it is just going to be a contest on the top sides. Just like another reset has come in for the bot side. Components picked it up. Finally some damage into the back pocket of Lunafine. And that Ragtrix opting for that Kraken Slayer. Honda's hunting.
Yeah. Just constantly looking at all times, stepping up, always looking for that dredge line, and it's just putting so much pressure right here onto this bottom lane. I mean, you're at least within range here to be picking up some of the experience, but none of the gold is coming up through, and they can tell, right? Vitality bot lane more than good enough to know that they can just keep this pressure up. There's no real threat to them at the moment either. They've got themselves a ward in River, you've got decent enough pressure in the mid lane, so you're not particularly worried about being ganked, and even if you do get ganked in this situation, it's a Mundo, right? Dodge one cleaver, you should be able to walk this one straight out.
Certainly should. Pivotal's going to go aggressive on towards OP in the top side. Fate's still going to be used to get to safety.
Oh.
Presence. Not going to opt to flash
She was thinking about it. She was really thinking about
indeed.
it. If you haven't watched Pivotless play before, psychopathic levels of aggression at all times is really, really fun to watch. One of the most fun playstyles we've got from top laners here in this scene. Looking potentially for some sort of dive down in the bot lane, see if Honda can hit the hook.
Going to be flashed or ulted away from. As the red line comes, the depth charge comes in, good chunk of damage going down. There's Garden of Thorns going to find the knockup onto 2. As Diana goes up in the middle of all 3. And it's a killing spree for the side of Cosmic. Vitality Rising Bees are not taking their foot off the pedal.
Absolutely not right there. Getting all of the summoner spells right here out of the bottom side of the map. Flash out of Diane as well. And you're just continuing to ball this pressure up further and further. This is exactly the Caitlyn that the Rising Bees would have been hoping to get. Now I can get these resets coming on through. First item probably very close right here to being completed. Yeah, you're going to need one more reset coming on through to have that first item. And at that point, you do not have to take your foot off the gas at all. Cosmic can just keep running at her opponents.
Yeah, absolutely can. So we see both supports moving up towards the top side as the grubs have spawned. Going to be started up by Breast here. It looks like with Delicate on the bottom side, it's not going to be a massive contest. Just going to take the 1 for now, though, as we've got both Rim and Honda in the area. Don't want to risk it. Pressure in the top side from OP as well.
Yep.
Very difficult to move on in.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, look at the gold gap right here down in the bottom lane. 1.5k purely between these two bot laners. For a champion like the Inara, who's reliant on getting a good couple of items through, devastating to the chances of being able to win this one here for Breast. The fact that all 3 of the grubs, oh sorry, 2 of the 3 grubs are going to go over to Vitality, not particularly helping either. They've got a pretty decent comp for split pushing as Pivotless.
fake sealed under the tower, as in comes Delicate, but he's going to be able to move away for now.
Well buffered.
With Q3, in comes the Garden of Thorns, very low for OP, good shield comes through, Hammer Shock, not going to find its mark, it's a
There's
game
no
of
mana.
inches on these health bars, there's no mana left on Pivotless, in goes OP, finds the Q3, and gets the kill, first on the board.
Oh, that was such a beautiful buffer right there to make sure he didn't get stunned up under the tower. Still, all of the aggression coming on through in the bottom lane. Everybody has to be careful down there, but you're able to just keep the pressure up. The top lane now beginning to falter as well. The one lane that was still keeping things even.
Very difficult to see that now moving towards the favor of Vitality Rising Bees as well. The lowest, the smallest gold lead in their favor being on that support role, just under 300 gold. 3.2 thousand gold in the lead 10 minutes into the game is abhorrent for the side of Bresty.
Yeah, it's not quite coming through, reflecting in the item gaps yet, but it will very soon, you have to imagine. Potentially go aggressive right here. Yep, hook gonna land.
On Diane, depth charge used onto the head of Lunafine. Just gonna back away, transcend oneself used to get that dash away.
Yeah, not really the correct time to be going super aggressive in that situation. The wave had been pushed in pretty quickly as Sona and was going to be able to rotate down a lot quicker than Vitality was going to be. It's going to start this up early on, but you just have to imagine Vitality is strong enough to bully them straight off of this.
So here's another hook lands onto Diane. First one to move is Sona in the mid lane, but it doesn't matter as the Garden of Thorns completely rinses through 3 members. Rim's gonna find one more on the back side. It's 2 more kills going into the back pocket of Vitality Rising Bees. A second dragon, and when you're trying to take a fight, when your Yunara's not got her steroid, it's all for naught.
That was just way too easy right now, and this is potentially what you could have expected, seeing these teams coming in. The quality of this Vitality squad, what they'd already proved in this tournament and many others recently. They are just kind of rolling over Brest at the moment, and now the jungle even beginning to fall away to their opponents. Very little gold available to Brest to try to get themselves back into this game.
It's going to take a lot, but there are avenues to do so, are there not, Bloxer?
There are indeed. Again, you just want to be trying to slow the pace of the game down. Might be potentially tricky as, again, people getting caught out. Good flash away. Should save her life.
Damage coming down. Another dredge line goes wide. Monster has to flash away, but will fall. It is traded for a kill into Rim's pocket, so you're not too upset about that, but it's not ideal by any means.
You get one back, at least, right? You're able to get a kill here. Sona, a pretty good champion as well. A pretty good player to get that on top of, right, with the Victor. Obviously, the Rod of Ages, again, just scaling is so late on into this game. It's a composition that you like in a vacuum, you like it in and of itself, but as soon as you begin to fall behind and you really give this much early gold over to Vitality, it's very tricky to see too many avenues back in. They're just going to have to, again, desperately try to slow the pace of this game down.
Yeah, absolutely the case. You can see on the bot side, first side's been completed and well on the way to an Infinity Edge for the side of Cosmic as well. It's not easy to do anything onto this Caitlyn, even in isolation on the other side there, as that play was happening in the mid lane. And it is a small avenue back for Brest. It is a little bit of solace in what has otherwise been a pretty harsh game. But you can see Diane's cut off from the rest of her team here. Honda and Delicate just stopping the bot side from moving in as Celeste, or Cosmic rather, looking to take down this tower. A beautiful combo onto the support. Kasane will fall, and Delicate will pick that one. Diane here has to pop the maximum dosage, going to get rooted up. It's another kill going across this one into Honda's back pocket, and a third will find its mark as well. Sona doing what she can, but going to get flashed on, take a lot of damage from this ultimate. Rim's going low as well, however, a little bit more damage. It will find it. 4 very fast kills. The only trade onto Delicate, and every other member gets out with their life. Vitality Rising Bees are finding mark after mark, sting after sting into their opponents.
And they're just way stronger at this point in the game. Their champions are way stronger. They've got so much better in terms of the items as well. I mean, you see it in that little 1v1 that we got between Sona and Rim. That's what Rod of Ages on 4 stacks versus a Blackfire Torch is going to give you. 9 stacks as well, sitting on top of that Dark Seal. Rim just in a way stronger spot and able to play that one out a little bit better overall. Vitality keeping the pressure up, not letting their foot off. And now, coming back out onto the map, they've got a Rift Herald to fight for.
Most certainly do, as we can see it moving bot sides up towards this top side. It is Sona who's in the side lane for Brest, going to be matched by LP for the side of Vitality Rising Bees. But there is not an inch that is being afforded to Brest in this game by the Bees. They have full control over this top side.
They really do, and I mean, why would you give up any of this pressure right now? One of the best things you can do for Caitlyn is just feed her towers. Feed her tower plating early on, and then the full towers later on into the game. An attempted go-in right here from Pivotless.
He finds the Keeper's Verdict, flashes out the Garden of Thorns, but going very, very low. The Wild's Growth is only going to do so much. One more auto will do it. A good shield comes through. Not going to burn down just yet. Ace in the hole is available, but there are some very high health bar players in the area. Unfortunately, that does mean, or unfortunately for Brest, that does mean this Herald is going to go down, and the mid-tier 1-4s, and the top-tier 1-4s.
Look, you're losing out quite a lot for this play overall, but you do manage to get the flash coming on out, so potentially there's a new way in to try to kill Cosmic, right? Cosmic's been very safe so far in this game, so the fact that you're able to get that flash away does take one of the avenues of escape away from her and could potentially open you up. Still, the fact that you give away a tower and the Rift Herald, we'll see what that Rift Herald's going to be done, because, well, there's no outer towers left, right? You can crack open the mid lane tier 2, but that's not quite as important overall. I do wonder if we could get to see some fun driving coming out and use it aggressively as an engage tool.
Time will tell us. Diane just looking for anything that she can be afforded in the enemy jungle here with the little bit of pressure they've been able to grab in the last couple of minutes. He's going to find the Krugs. That's about it, as waves are being lost in both mid and bot currently.
At least you're going to get Sona down to, you know, pick up some of this wave, but yeah, this game is a little bit over at this point. It would take a bit of a miracle to get back into this one, and I don't think Pivotless has got a miracle at the moment. It's just going to get fate sealed.
Indeed, Honda's in the area. Q3 to find the knockup. Hammershot's not going to do much. Good use of the dash away and a Keeper's Verdict to knock Honda away, but has to run into where this Nautilus was knocked. One more auto will do it, as LP finds another. Looking onto Rim on the other side for Brest here. Going to look for the reset, but could get caught out quite quickly here as Diane is on the flank. Is off vision, and they don't know. They don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. Everybody's just going to be able to get back away safe right here. And the items are coming pouring in. That's going to be 2 items completed now for Cosmic. Very, very strong at this point in the game. Very close as well to that second item coming through for Rim. You can just keep running your opponents down. Nearly 9,000 gold going to be the advantage. The next Drake's in 4 minutes time. That will be Soul as well, and other than one lonely little grub and a couple tower plates, just been nothing on the map here.
Good night, sweet princess. Down goes Luna Fiend under the tower. No safety has been afforded. A good route comes through a hook. It's not gonna land. Spiraling Despair at the very least isn't gonna land. A little bit of anti-synergy with that dredge line coming through. Arcane Storm is doing a good chunk of damage. Severing Bolt's not quite going to find his marker. They're going to burn. Not quite. Sona's able to walk away. The tier 2 not going to go down either, living on a sliver of health. Opens moving in to the rest of the team. A good route onto Pivotless here coming through. A little bit of damage. Down goes the tower. Dredge line lands onto Pivotless. A lot of damage coming through. Steadfast Presence going to stop Opie coming in. One more auto will allow the execute. There it is. Cosmic going to find that one. Fate sealed onto Kasane. Not going to burn. It's the Severing Bolt Blackfire combo. But there is just nothing but an all-out assault as Vitality Rising Bees ascend to an 11,000 gold lead.
There they go. And as we were saying, right, this game, as soon as you got those early kills down in the bottom lane on the Cosmic, you're kind of expecting this game to be a little bit of a walkover, and it seems to be so far. Again, we'll watch if Brest can get themselves back into this one, but I do think what we've been watching from Vitality show you why they weren't able to win overall in the first stage. They have made some mistakes. That anti-synergy we just watched, some over-aggressive plays in certain situations where they're just using how much stronger they are than their opponents to walk at them. Some interesting positioning out of Rim and Cosmic as well. Nothing egregious, nothing that teams other than the best ones are going to be able to punish, but for a Vitality Rising Bees that have such lofty expectations of themselves and of this organization, they will want to clean a few of these things up.
Absolutely will. 2 minutes 20 on the next dragon. Teleport into the top side from Rim here. Not too much going to happen in the near future, I would have thought. Never mind. Looks like Sona's going to get collapsed on here. Rim going to tank the Arcane Storm up, half health and counting. Honda is here though. Depth charge going to find its mark. Roof comes down. Dredge line to follow. Roof comes in. Severing Bolt is good. A lot of damage coming down. And it will be Cosmic picking up a 5th kill. Unstoppable in this game.
Truly has just been incredible on this Caitlyn. A really high variance
one
pick.
Shot
Okay.
coming down in the mid lane.
Oh,
Onto the side of
my
Kasane.
lord.
Gone. Half health off of Lunafina as well. Delicate, very quietly having a very good game. 4-1 and 7. 2 acts completed on this Zyra, and the Baron is in the sights of the Bees.
It's actually really good early on as well with those ganks, just doing a lot to put her team ahead, and they've been able to cash that in nice and easily. With the Baron going on down, the sights will be set on the base. And resets coming through before that, you have to imagine third items going to be very close to coming on through super early on into the game. And I love that right here. Out of Delicate, gonna go towards that Medjai's. Why not at this point? Already on 9 stacks.
Rim also on 10 on that Dark Seal as OP gonna get found on by Pivotless here, stunned into the wall. Have an easy escape here. Q3 gonna get stopped by Step Out Process. Diane's there ready and waiting, and OP may have just bitten off more than she could chew. Fate Seal goes over the wall, takes Pivotless with her. Unfortunately, it does mean that she will go down. Now, however, Rim is stuck in the middle of 3 people. Sparring Slide's doing a lot of damage. Cosmic able to find onto Pivotless, but Rim will go down. Diane is to follow to the hands of Delicate. Down goes Sona, and an absolute one-shot. It's a double kill for Delicate, and the bot lane to the side of Breast. It can only do naught but run. It's a triple kill coming in for Delicate off the back of a beautiful hook from Honda. Flash forward from Delicate. Ace in the hole, gonna find Mark onto Kasane. A little bit more damage as the Herald is bashing away on this mid lane tower. 4 kills for 2 off the back of what was a catch in favor of Breast. Is now turning into the Bees, pushing the base down. 2 health on Shelly. Are they gonna be able to find another charge, or is the minion wave going to murder it? No, not gonna be the minion wave, going to be Kasane.
Just about going to be able to stop that push coming on through, but the game going so quickly that you're using the Herald to crack open the base. You're going to lose their top lane at tier 3 tower as well. Do need to potentially turn tail and run, although maybe not.
So much damage coming out of Cosmic here. Pivotless dropping, Diane dropping, Hammer Shock onto Honda, who is out of mana, but down goes Kasane. Pivotless is next in the sights of this AD carry for the side of Vitality Rising Beast. A second is found onto Lunafine, and this Caitlyn is still firing. Finally shut down by the side of Sona. Honda could do nothing but run for the hills as Rim is moving in, but is not going to find Mark. Double kill going across to the mid laner for the side of Breast, but
no
OP
way.
is here and looking for more.
There's no way.
Field lands onto 2, beautifully done. The Soul Unbound is going to leave her stuck in the gravity field. Arcane Storm comes down, Keeper's Verdict, Rim has arrived, but it's 3 quick kills into the side of Breast. This gold lead is shrinking, not very quickly, but it is shrinking as Soul goes across to Vitality Rising Beast.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? As much as you do lose a couple of kills right here, Vitality, they're still getting stronger, they're still making it work. Again, some interesting decision making, really should have pulled away from that tower a heck of a lot quicker, but feeling confident, feeling like you can potentially fight, testing limits here, potentially. And that's fine at this point in the game. You do have to be careful though, as we are beginning to creep up on the point at which Breast are going to get online with these compositions. 2 items completed onto their main carries at this point, and with Sona getting online, Lunafine getting online, maybe if you make a couple more over-aggressive plays like this, things can begin to flip. Still, going to be a very tall order.
Certainly is. With only 1 inhib down as well, it's rough because you are kind of just funneling gold into these carries even further.
Yeah.
You can see Lunafine not opting to go for the Infinity Edge on 3, instead looking for that Lord Dominic's Regards.
I
would
get
wager.
it, but like...
It might be Hex Optics, actually.
I still would have
The
wanted
nuke is ambiguous.
IH in this situation.
So would I.
Your whole
You are
job
behind,
here
you need more damage.
is to flash forward and try to one-tap the Hui, or the Caitlyn, or the Zyra. You've got lots of squishy, aggressive champions to potentially go for, but yeah, not going to be the decision here. Right now the bot lane, tier 3 tower, under siege, and it's just going to go down. There's no way to step up, even with clearing out the minion wave. This shouldn't stop the push.
Shouldn't indeed. LP in the mid lane, looking to just find a catch. Good chunk onto Diane there, coming through from this Yone. You're having to move this Yunara between 2 lanes to keep clearing. But that gaze, the gaze from the Abyss, not going to allow anybody to step up to this tower. and it's just a matter of time. We're waiting for that final engage to come through. Keeper's Verdict going to be charged, but not going to find its mark onto anything other than the minion wave. A good chunk of damage able to come through now with these waves being cleared. See Cosmic looking for just whatever autos she can find. Rim trying to find some pokes. Pivotless is going very low. Slowly but surely severing Bolt, not going to find its mark. The top lane inhibitor now being dashed on by OP, and this may just be a slow and steady death side of Brest. Never mind! A one-shot coming through onto Lunafine. LB goes in looking onto Diana. Fate Seal finds on 3 members on the backside. Soulbound going to snap back now. They're looking for more. Rim looking for more. Cosmic focusing on these towers. OP able to catch onto Diane. Otherwise, Honda able to find a hook onto Pivotless under the tower, but it's not quite enough. A fear onto Sona. Stunning tool from Pivotless, but it doesn't matter. The Nexus is gone, and the Vitality Bees have risen above their opposition. They'll take game number 1 of the day.
Routing right there. A very confident win overall. Couple mistakes, couple moments where I'm thinking, you're getting a little bit overly aggressive right here as Vitality, but I think they recognized that they were in a very strong spot overall, that they didn't matter too much what they did once they had those early kills coming on through. And overall, just a very tricky composition to try to play out, but they do it very well for themselves. I think a very underrated aspect of why they're able to play that game so easily is the Hui. Usually the Victor's one of the outranging champions, you know, especially when you put down that Arcane Storm, but the Hui sitting so far back and pushing your team so far back that when you want to go for those engages, you have to full commit to it, and they just weren't in a position to do that at any point in the game. Really well played overall from Vitality.
Yeah, just an iron grip over the game that Brest couldn't cut through. It was full scaling versus early game domination, and early game domination did in fact win out. And in scrappy games like that, it's really hard to come back from because you're constantly having your legs cut out from under you. Yeah, very much so, and it's rough. It's rough to see that. Still, this is the way that these early matchups will go right here, and we'll see what's going to be happening as we continue on through. Vitality, again, they're going to be looking to come through this early stage undefeated. They are going to want to roll through all of their opponents. They have got very high expectations of themselves. Still, I think this Brest team could be pretty fun, looking at some of their other potential matchups going on forwards, and we'll have to see how they're able to do for the rest of the tournament here. Certainly will. Now we're going to throw a very quick break. When we come back, we will have the desk ready to talk about that game a little bit and set us up for the next one. So don't go anywhere. You're not going to want to miss it.
Welcome back to EUniverse as we're going to take a look at this next matchup. But before we get to it, I do want to talk a little bit about the last match. I know that we have some opinions about the draft, some opinions about how the game went. So I do want to talk about that because I still feel like Brest Esports, they had a really solid draft comp. But at the end of it all, it just feel like they weren't able to pull it out, Shob.
I think we had a good comp, but not good against enemies comp. And what I said in off was like, I felt like we self-countered a lot of things that I did not quite understand, but that's why I'm gold. But I think the hard was, like, as some of you said, I forgot who, said that it would be hard into Vitality's comp with like it's hard to get into the champs. So that was my opinion.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's definitely hard to play against that comp. I do feel like we had to talk about like silent timers and stuff like that. Well, it feels like they weren't able to scale. The game did end around like the 25-minute mark. The Mundo was not able to scale. The Unar was not able to get to that hyper carry point. Do we feel like the early and mid game was, because I do feel like the early and mid game was a big part of that. We didn't have really like a late game per se, but I feel like the early game was like the major like setback on Brest Esports.
I think if we really want to go over it, it could also be established in a way of that this is, I believe, the first tournament that Brest Esports participates in when it comes to the League Game Changers. They weren't participating in stage 1, so this is the first time they are together. I don't know for how long they've been playing together, so practice makes perfect. And to be instantly up against the, for some people pointed out as tournament favorites, that's just a really difficult job that you're setting yourself up for, right? So I think, just looking at it, there are a lot of points of improvement, yes, but that's also like one of the main takeaways that you want to get from a team like this, or like from a match like this, knowing how you could draft in the future, how you're like approaching all the different stuff, and the fact that they still managed to get it as far as they got, because yes, Vitality Rising, they were in a really dominant position. It was really difficult to get back into a game like that, but even they got some points from this where they started to play sloppy because they were so far ahead. Where there were moments for Brest that even if they wanted to come back, sure, you're still like 15 to 12k gold behind, but you are punishing, like actively punishing mistakes of your opponent, which is just good to see that there's still like some livelihood within the entire machine of Brest. So I think with this performance, you cannot be like too knocked down. You are playing once again against the tournament favorites. You have shown some good like sparks of light within everything. So if anything, this is just the start of a really great future. And it all starts with how do we approach draft, how do we approach early game, and I like to see the respect, but then we also have to go over, okay, this is our team composition, what is our win condition, because I felt like that was probably one of the biggest struggles. You were just trying to play a team composition, but now how do you pilot this team composition? And
yeah, for sure.
In the end.
And you were playing a Swiss stage, so you technically you still have 4 matches to go, be that not going through to playoffs or going through to playoffs. You still have 4 matches to go either way. But focusing on this next matchup, we're going to be taking a look at Blue Water and G2H. We already know like G2H, they're currently in the 2nd spot on the circuit leadership or leaderboard, so we have very high hopes for this G2H across the 2nd stage as well, right?
Yeah, I think G2H are very strong. I'm very happy that they all came back on the feminine scene after the announcement a long time ago that it was over, and they come up with a strong team, a strong, like I was about to say a strong top side, but thinking about it, everyone is strong, so they have strong players against Blue Water that also is a very good. My mom is getting in with a very good team as well, and they made a change in support recently, I think. So it will be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, we had some changes in G2H, especially Sakuromi getting into the roster. On the other side, we also had some changes. Now we had support on Blue Water, Virtuosa getting into that role, and we have Sakuromi getting into the AD carry role for G2H. I'm the newbie here on the scene. I want to ask you guys' opinion, especially around these two players. Do we have any relevant info? Do these players bring a lot of firepower into the teams?
You would say that for Blue Otters, Virtuosa most definitely gives a lot of impact, right? You are playing with an ex-LGC champion, like that cannot be underestimated. And even though she's playing from North America, which means that she will be playing on around 200 ping, that was enough last time to even qualify to the finals, and then when they played their offline finals, they still managed to win. So whether it is 200 or 20 ping, apparently doesn't matter for this player. Like, this is just entirely fine. So that is point one, very well to see. It still has to be acknowledged, though, that Blue Otter, they are a different team. We are seeing names like Tifa, who has been in the scene for a very long time, and also an ex-player for G2, so it is nice to see that rivalry being heated up as well. But I don't know if these changes will be, like, as impactful, because, well, G2H is also, just like we already said with Vitality Rising B, one of the favorites, with Keltis being also such a prominent figure in the scene for, like, at least 2 years now. First, the AD carry position has switched to mid laner, and even there we can see some very spicy things coming in, because I remember when I was just scrolling social media last time during stage 1, I was just scrolling, and then I saw, oh, it is so nice to see that we prepared for enemy Galio mid when I can play Caitlyn. So even there, talking about pocket picks, we like pushed them earlier. Keltis played a Caitlyn mid game against the Galio because it's an AD champion into a Magic Resist champion. Like, that works, right? So I am really interested to see what the dynamic might bring when you're seeing Tifa, ex-G2 player, versus an AD carry switch to mid lane with a lot of bag of tricks up her sleeves.
No, I'm definitely curious about that, because Keltis is a very is a player that has a very large champion pool because of that, right? Like, we know how some AD carries do work well on mid. We've seen like Smolder's mid, we've seen Tristana's mid, we've seen a lot of champions mid. So I'm curious about that. I've been following your streams as well. I've been seeing her play a lot of the meta champions like the Orianna and stuff like that. But that would be a very spicy pick. You did mention the Zyra for the jungle, and I feel like you have a little bit of an oracly aura around you. So maybe we will see that. Depends on what they pick. Now, on the other side, I was taking a look at some of the players' champion pool as well, and we have some surprises here as well. I was taking a look at, for example, for the top lane, I do see that Blue Otter's top lane, she plays Ambessa, Yorick, and Ornn. This can be very interesting on the best of one. We can see the Yorick on the best of one. The Ambessa is more standard, but a Yorick on the best of one, we were talking about it in the green room. Like, Deathfire Yorick, can that be a thing?
I definitely hope so, but then again, you are playing best of ones. Anything can happen. I feel like if there's any draft prediction that I can throw for sure, it is that Ahri is pick or ban, because you have Tifa on the lineup, and Tifa is known for Ahri, so it's either being instantly picked or G2 is leaving it open because they have a counter pick ready for it. So that is probably the only thing I can say with certainty. But just looking at, once again, spicy champion pools, it makes me really happy to see where this game is going.
And
for sure. Go ahead.
More on the spicy pools. I don't know if you watched G2H playing this year, but with Keltis mid, since she had a lot of champs that she was playing as AD, she was able to pull through, I think, Caitlyn mid and Ezreal mid and things like that are not the OP meta in mid lane. So she's able to surprise the enemies with classic mid laners picks, and also like other more spicy champs for the meta, I would say. So it's I think I loved her as an AD before, so I'm usually she hyped me when she's playing with this new role.
Yeah, because like when you switch roles, let's be true here. Like some of the AD carries, like for example, you mentioned the Ezreal, and the Ezreal can be very easily picked on mid around some of these more aggressive mid laners, like as a comfort champion, like as a comfort, like, okay, I can move out of here if I need to, right? Like if they already engage me, I can move out with the Arcane Shift. I can move out with a Caitlyn, E. I can move out with some abilities, right? Like, and as Keltis being a proficient AD carry. Well, she can use that as a strong point, right? Now, we talked about Virtuosa as well, and I do want to talk about that because I was taking a look at the champion floor for support. On the side of Blue Water, I didn't get a lot of info, but you guys have some info in Virtuosa, so what can we expect from here? Is it going to be like just, are we expecting the normal meta? Does she have any pocket picks that we can talk about? What's going on?
I think she's very versatile. Like from what we've seen during last year, she can pilot Enchanter, she can pilot Engage. We haven't seen a lot of poke support, but that's just because it's not really meta. And
yeah,
I don't know if I'm just having false memories, but it might be that they may have picked something in regards to a Caitlyn Lux lane before. But it is a new team that you have to integrate in. You don't have a lot of practice together since, well, you at most had 4 weeks since the last roster played together. So my best guess would be that it will be a plug-and-play kind of champion. So something like the Nautilus, something like the Leona, maybe an Enchanter like Lulu, like we saw last game as well. But it, once again, really depends on what is the victory condition that Blue Alters wants to work towards, what is the kind of champion pool that they're working in regards to Virtuosa. So even there, very little that we can say except for the Ari pick that I already mentioned before from Tifa, that is probably just pick or ban for both sides.
Now we're seeing some of the, or both of the rosters as well on the screen. This G2H roster, Shop did mention that they, I don't want to say disbanded, but G2 kind of pulled back a little bit on the female scene or on the LGC scene a while back. We're seeing them come back again. You did mention that on stage 1 they had a really great stage 1. We're gonna get right into the draft, but can we expect them to try and dominate this time against the #1 spot right now?
Honestly, if you want my opinion, I think most of the teams in this LGC qualifier, like a lot of them are really strong, and I think unlike last year, there is not a strong top 2. I would say not a solo top 2, because I think everyone can take anyone. Like for example, Vitality for me were one of the team I would see in the high final. I forgot the name last time, and they were not. And I was surprised, but because I was oh, they're playing for a long time this season and they're still not managing to get the top 1. And I think everyone can, on a good day, surprise anyone, because the level looks pretty even between the top tier teams, I would say.
And that's what we love. Now let's get right into this draft. Blue Water on red side, G2H, they get the first pick and they're also playing on the blue side. We get the Jarvan 4 out of this draft. On the other side, Rex Sai. I love that from Blue Water. Definitely a pick that G2H like to play on Shinna. So this maybe might indicate that Blue Water are definitely iron when it comes to some of these picks. I'm curious to see if they're gonna go heavy on the jungle. We do see the Karma being banned as well, so do we believe that Blue Water are going to target some of these bans?
You would hope so.
I think there is a Nico ban for G2. I think they need to ban Nico or first pick. That's the only thing I can add.
Okay, ban or first pick? Okay, that's going to be interesting, because if we do see the Nico, what can we pair it with? Like an Ezreal?
Maybe Varus.
I'm trying to think of. Yeah, I was trying to think of ADCs. We don't see a lot of prioritizing towards that Varus until now. Right now, we're seeing the Santa being banned as well, which is curious. Did we get any nerfs on the Varus? I don't think so, right? The Varus is still...
we got 80 Varus nerfs for. I mean, of course, the champion has been amended because he's been able to flex towards top lane as well, and then top lane is really annoying to play into. The thing is that most of the time when you're playing on top lane, you're playing into a tank, and then it's more like the AP Varus, so it's kind of weird to then adjust his AD values. But I do understand that the fact that this champion was so safe on the bot side with the long range and also being able to dish out the amount of damages that he did, that there had to be a fine-tune. So he's still viable as an AP champion on the top side, but on AD carry we see that the value is going down in comparison to champions like, what is it, Ashe, that does, I don't want to say the same thing, but it's also like one of those utility carries that has the potential to hyper carry. Not necessarily has the sieging power, but you do have that ultimate that just stops someone in their tracks so you can play on pick off. So it wouldn't surprise me if G2 would also prefer an AD carry on first pick. Normally you look for either an ADC, a really strong mid laner, or a jungler. So I feel like those are on the table, plus the Nautilus, who has been pick and ban for, I believe, the past couple patches because the support runes and item changes. But that isn't the first pick that we've seen many times, mostly a first ban that we've seen very often, and that isn't banned this time around.
Yeah, because the last bans were Orianna and Vi for the first round, and Shope, you mentioned it. Well, I guess we got two oracles here in the desk because we had the Zyra last game, now we have the Nico picked on the side of G2H. As you mentioned, SIM, I don't feel like we're going to see the virus because of that, of those nerfs on the AD. What can we pair up with the Nico? I was talking about Ezreal. I do know, I think it's from the side of G2H, I do think they'd like to play Kalista. Oh no, it's from the side of Blue Water, forget about it.
I'm still looking at champions like Caitlyn is also being paired up with it sometimes. There are potential Jhin angles, but I feel like Jhin you can only perhaps click a bit later into the draft, knowing what you're playing into, because just clicking Jhin and the enemy picking 2 tanks is very sad if it happens.
Especially with Melanchola, she has like a very good Xante and good like strong tanks, so Jhin would be a mistake right now for G2.
Yeah, for sure. They lock the Seraphine Ashe as an answer to G2H. So I think right now, if you're G2H, you're just going to hold on onto that AD carry pick for a little bit. Like you were saying, the Jhin, I feel like the Jhin would be very good against this Ashe Seraphine with the Nico, but yeah, I'm with you, SAM. I feel like we need to hold back a little bit. Maybe pick the mid around here, maybe the jungle. I don't know if Kalti's going to feel very awkward picking the mid blind, so that can be a little bit of a hold off as well. Maybe a flex pick on the jungle, that could be a thing.
No, I think jungle plus ADC would still be okay, right? Like you already have the quote-unquote counter pick, even though like my personal opinion would be that counter pick ADC doesn't do a lot because most of the bot lane priority and like mechanics is being decided by your support matchup, and as an AD carry you're just standing there hoping that that matchup is good so you can follow up. So picking something safe like the Ezreal is completely fine. If you pick the Caitlyn here, it could have been completely fine. You just don't want to dunk the Jhin, and now you still have the opportunity, like I've now used or utilize this counter pick. We can still blind pick a role, and if you blind pick something, it's either just going to be that very strong mid lane, but there's nothing open apparently for G2H at the moment, so they're going with the Pantheon, which is, sure, you can call it a pseudo flex. It's still being played in the top lane from time to time, but just blind picking your jungle matchups, because you know it's not a lane matchup. You're rarely going to walk into the enemy jungle unless you have like a heavy counter jungling favorite champion or you have the priority in lane. Then it doesn't really matter what that matchup is until later into the game, and I think a champion like Pantheon can get through that very easily. And then for Lily, isn't this the classic Udyr that she played like multiple times already, or am I confusing her with a different?
This is one of our
most
picked champions.
And it's even a flex. It's Melanchola when she was jungle and Clueless were both playing this Udyr, so it is a flex pick for the top side as well.
Yeah, no, this is definitely one hell of a pick from Lily, from Lily. Now, you do believe that this might be a flex pick. This is interesting because we haven't seen Udyr on Calm. I haven't seen Udyr in a while, so being this flex into top, it's pretty interesting because I feel like, at least in solo queue in my games, I've been seeing a rate of Udyr being picked a little bit more. So that's interesting. I don't know if there were a lot of massive changes to how Udyr is in the meta right now, but it's gonna be very interesting, and it's gonna be weird though, right? Like it might be a good matchup into the Pantheon, but late game, who do we feel like provides more value, the Pantheon or the Udyr?
I feel like the main thing that you have with a champion like Udyr is, sure, you're not a fancy champion with a lot of dashes like we see from a lot of junglers these days, but you are a champion that can just stand in front of your Ashe Seraphine combination, and then if Seraphine wants to throw an Encore, you can at least help in extending, and that pulls the enemies closer to you, so you don't need the flash bear slap. You can just bear slap them and then follow up, even though I guess ram slap these days because Udyr has been changed a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a little bit.
But it still works very well. It has some flexibility in build. You're not forced to go AP. There's also some AD iterations. I think it's best to be, I don't want to compare it one-to-one with the Shyvana, because Shyvana also has that like fine line where you can go more hybrid instead of just full AD or full AP. But with a champion like Udyr, most of the time you do expect the AP variant where you can clear a bit faster and become a bit more tanky in the later stages. But if the opportunity is there are also some angles where if your enemy has something like a Mundo, which isn't here right now, the Tiger stance or I guess these days Bear stance can deal a lot of damage in awakened form.
Yeah, now taking a look at the last bans from both teams, we get the Zoe and the Ambessa, as well as the Yorick and the Malphite. So definitely both teams looking at those champion pools to take a chunk. Now the Ahri is still open though, so Tifa is definitely going to play that Ahri, which gives a little bit of a check here for Kaltis. Like, how are you going to deal with this Tifa Ahri?
Yeah, and you talked about this Ahri that is a very strong champ from Tifa. I think it can work really well with the Udyr. He has a stun on his Q or something, I forgot. And basically, like, Blue Water's comp can go straight forward, you know, like they can go in, and they also have good reception, so it can be strong. Okay. And he had this rise that is very good right now.
I like it. I've been seeing Kaltis playing some of these mages on mid, like especially the Orianna, the Rise on her solo queue stream. So I didn't expect it as well, but it's high value, right? Like you can utilize it to roam with Pantheon, to utilize their Realm Warp to provide some value, especially towards bot side. We were talking about how not the win conditions, but the bot prio. On the other side, you're going to see probably Tifa being very aggressive on the Ahri, trying to roam, so you can kind of match it with the Rise or kind of punish a little bit, especially on the side lane. It's great value for G2H right now. We see that Gnar being locked. And with the Yorick band, with the Malphite band, who do we think that Blue Water can bring to the table? I see some Rumbles being picked. I see some Ambassadors being picked from the side of Blue Water. Do we think that's viable? Do we see a Sion here?
I always want to say Vayne.
Vayne? Ooh, okay.
Yeah, Vayne. Oh, you got
okay. Interesting. Urgot being last picked.
SIM likes cheesy picks, I would say, so I guess you're happy with this draft.
Urgot is one of those champions that we see like rarely, but I'm interested to see like how it gets gets played into a matchup. I think it's still nice that you can match range, and when Gnar is mini Gnar, he is punishable. But for some reason, like, my mind is still just stuck at the fact that we see a Ryze lock in, and I do agree with like all of you that Ryze is a very strong champion at the moment. Even with Face Rush being removed, the Deathfire Touch also seems to be like a rune of choice on him to give him a little bit of a stronger early game. But I was just thinking about the fact that Kaltis is ex-AD carry player, sure, but she also played in a meta where a lot of mages were being played on the bot lane. That's why she also likes to play champions like Ziggs in mid lane, because that's a champion that also was piloted on bot lane for a bit. But I know for sure, I feel like I know for a fact that Kaltis used to play Mel. And yeah, from what I understand, I don't know if Mel has been like nerfed so hard that she's just basically unplayable at this point, but in competitive it's like the steepest counter into Ahri, because the moment that you want to go for a pick, Mel says, you can never use your charm unless I press W first, because if you do, you're going to screw over yourself. And having that to your availability for like the entirety of laning phase, or at least on level 3 when you've picked the ability, or 2 if you need it early, feels like it just completely shuts down what Blue Altar wants to do. And now you say like, no, we're not gonna do that. We have our own game plan because we have Ryze. And that is basically what surprised me, because I expected the Mel and then it didn't happen. So I kind of just was stuck on that part for a bit.
I do agree on this Mel pick. It like into Seraphine, Ashe and Ahri, it's like usually the most ban thing would be Mel for Blue Water. They let it open and Kaltis did not took for the bait, so I don't know if they had a specific game plan or something she knows into this smell pick.
I do believe that maybe G2H might be looking towards the late game now. The Ryze value once again on the side lane to push. We know how macro goes, and G2H might be looking to go play a little bit by the book. No, I feel like Mel hasn't totally been nerfed to the ground, but when it comes to pressure on the side lanes, Ryze can provide a little bit more than that. I feel like once again the Ahri is going to roam a lot. Maybe the Pantheon Ryze might be a better combo to roam towards the bot lane, or even towards the top lane if you want to punish that Urgot. We don't see a lot of that value on Udyr, right? So I feel like maybe G2H saw an angle where Kaltis and Sheena can very much shine with that combo towards the bot lane.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with this statement. I am now with you, Rufox.
There we go. I'm changing minds out here. That's my job for today. There we go. We have a little bit of a step back here because we're having some issues, some tech issues with a player. We don't know exactly which team or which player is having tech issues, but we'll have to wait a little bit to step into the match. Now, let's talk a little bit about executions. We know G2H's comp. It's a standard comp. We know their win conditions and their execution. From the side of Blue Water, can we consider them underdogs for this matchup? How is that execution with Udyr, Urgot, and Ari going to work?
I don't know if we actually can consider them underdogs. I feel like these are two teams that are very much on par, perhaps, when it comes to skill ceiling. Also, with the addition now of Virtuosa, I have a little bit more difficulties with like gauging the strength of G2H now that they have their AD carry swap for this stage. But Virtuosa just brings so much experience, and of course, like the title of ex-LGC champion with it, that is now also piloted on a champion like Seraphine, who's been loving the buffs to support items, because the Imperial Mandate change just completely skyrocketed the stocks of this champion when it comes to play, whilst it was already like so popular in competitive. And whilst you sure have the argument that late game looks to be very playable for G2H, even though you want to have some early pressure with that Pantheon as well to keep your snowball going, or like to start your snowball going, there are so many strong lanes coming out from Blue Altar with your Urgot into Gnar, with your Ahri into Ryze early game, and then you just instantly get back to, you have Ashe, Seraphine, Ezreal, yes, is a champion with lethal tempo that likes to fight early and can be very strong. But we all know that we've had that moment that you play AD carry, you play into an Ashe, you think, I can take this trade, you take an auto attack, you're like, wait, I wanted to take a burst trade, but this burst trade now gets extended because I get slowed and there's no way for me to get away easy without blowing a summoner, and I thought that this trade was favorable for me. So having all of those tools already to your availability in the early stage for Blue Altar, it will be an uphill battle for G2. That's what I feel. That the early dragons should probably go over to Blue Altar, and unless there's going to be some interesting things happening in the solo lanes, then we're looking from like I think Drake 3 onwards that things might to start shift for G2. But I'm hoping that from what we've seen last game between Brest and Vitality, that there isn't too much respect from G2, because then you're really giving everything over to Blue Altar.
Okay, we have all of the sides covered. Thank you so much for that analysis, SIM and Shope as well in this draft. Now, we did have to remake the lobby because we had some problems during the draft, so we're just going to throw it to Luna and a Black Bloxer, because we do want to see, or we do want to hear what their thoughts of the draft are as well. So take it away. We're going to go back to the break room, and we're going to be paying attention to what Luna and Black Bloxer have about it.
Thank you ever so much, Rufox and Co. Hello again, everybody. Slight delays on the game, as mentioned by the desk. Now, there's a pick on this draft you really want to talk about, so I'm just going to give you the floor.
It haunts me. I can't get away from it. Everywhere I look, there's another Urgot being picked. And I don't like it. I don't like the Urgot. I really don't. Every single time we see it in competitive, and we see it a lot in competitive over in the UKL, because Loopy picks it quite often. It's one of his signature picks, and he gets like 20 kills on it, and he does really well. And this could be one of those games, right? There's a situation where you're into a Gnar. Pretty good matchup overall for the Urgot. A lot of options for you to play early on and get aggressive. Even as we get into the later stage of the game, you still can do really well into the Gnar. He gets 20 kills, and his team loses every single time. It never works out. You never do anything for your team, and I can't believe we have to watch it here again.
Well, we'll see if they can do any better with it. What's across the rest of the Rift? The Udyr is an interesting pick. Very good into the Pantheon. Works very well with things like the Ashe Seraphine. Interesting to see if it can have the impact that it needs to in comparison to this Pantheon. Because semi-global coming out of the Pantheon can be kind of wherever you want to be.
Yeah, I mean, alongside the Rise as well, you've got a ton of mobility coming through, and this is going to really unlock what G2 can try to play around, because they've got themselves a composition that wants to play a little bit slower overall through some of its lanes. You know, you want to build up with your Gnar and your Rise. The bot lane is something you can actually play around quite early on. Ashe Seraphine is an uber aggressive bot lane, and you have to be very careful. You get caught out by a slow from either the Ashe or the Seraphine, and they can just walk you down in a longer, more extended trade, but in a slightly more bursty trade, you can play back into them quite heavily as this G2 Hell bot lane. And if you've got your fancy feet on, if you're dodging away effectively, if somebody gets caught up by those tangle barbs, there is a real opportunity here for this bot lane to get spicy just in the 2v2. And then if you add junglers into that, this bot lane could be massively pivotal to the rest of the game.
Absolutely could be. Now, draft is not anything to think about when going into this game, however. This is quite a storied game, especially when you look at some of the names on teams.
Yeah, very, very much so. Obviously, the headline of those is going to be Tifa playing up against her old team in G2 Hell. But, I mean, all across the board, you've got names that we have had around in the women's scene for a very long time. Some very high-level players, a lot of decorated members as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Cultist, we saw her with the first stage of her role swap during stage 1. Is back again, still in the mid lane in stage number 2. Did relatively well in stage 1. Definitely like she's adapted well, but it's going to be interesting to see her up against her old mid laner in Tifa. See if she can maybe get the leg up, or if it is just going to be a the Preceder overtakes the current. We've also got players like Virtuosa, who is current LGC champion on Eterna last split. And as we head into the game for game number 2 of the day, very interested, very, very interested to see just how this is going to go.
Absolutely, it will be. And like I said, jumping on into game right here. Jumping in about a minute in, so seeing where it is everybody was starting up. Looks like some potentially interesting play coming through right here from Tina. Yeah, heading back to base and straight back towards the bottom side of the map. So going for some very interesting pathing to get to that initial level 3, and then heading down into the bottom side of the map, expecting the invade that is coming through.
It certainly is. See if Lily can find any mark. Lumi. Oh, sorry, not Lumi. It is Virtuosa. I am not the smartest human going. Going to back up her jungler here. As the red buff will be stolen away, I think.
Yep, should have been taken away right there. No.
No, it looks like it was smited or stolen by Sheena, given the CS numbers on our
There
screen.
we go, right, so really good right there in terms of the scouting report, knowing that in this kind of matchup, in this sort of situation, Lilith is going to try get involved, try to go and look for an early invade, and being able to cover that one off, take it away. Protecting yourself from what can be a very aggressive early look out of an Udyr is a really nice.
Absolutely, as we see Sheena looking aggressively into this middle lane, not quite going to find the kill on Tifa, but is going to force a flash. Going to get face checked by Lily here, however, going very, very low. The early damage is very strong. One more auto will find it. Cultist now going to try and find some mark back, but isn't going to have the damage this early. This Udyr champion is definitely something.
Oh, it's disgusting. It's absolutely gross to watch right here, and that's really unfortunate. After the good early play from Gina, covering things off, recognizing what was up, someone's gonna lose out. Uh-oh.
From Melanchola. Just gonna use a hop, skip, and a jump to get away.
Oh boy. And this is not quite like we had in the previous game, where one team has to get things going early. Both of these team compositions do have ways to play later on into the game. I do slightly prefer what you're going to be able to play around right here for G2 Hell, but that's only a little bit of a preference. You do still have ways to play this out later as Blue Otter.
Certainly do. We can see Tifa looking aggressively onto Sheena here, trying to protect Lily on her Raptors. Gonna run at this Pantheon, use the Empowered W, just get a bit of extra healing as we pan away as this fight is going on. Health bars are going low, Lily very low in fact, is going to be able to escape. It looks like the Raptors should have gone across.
Bit explosive through this early game as well. Not quite as calm as we saw in the previous game, and I think that makes a lot of sense with what we've got in terms of champion picks. The Udyr can begin to fall off pretty badly later on into the game, so you really do just want to get that pressure going as early as possible. Use the early skirmishing power that you have on this team composition. This bot lane as well have some pretty good early skirmishing, and you can see pretty aggressive plays coming on through.
It certainly is. Take a second or so, I would wager, just to reset a little bit. Should be a relatively slower game from here on out. First dragon is up and available, first grubs, or grubs in general, 2 minutes 20.
And that should be something Blue Otter are looking to play around. They've got themselves quite a lot of power through the skirmishing, obviously, of the Urgot and through their bot lane. But also, as we're getting into those level 6s, as much as the Ryze can rotate to these players that much faster alongside the jungler, you do just have that extra level of power coming through right now from the Ahri for these skirmishes. And that is just going to result in this first Drake going straight on over to Blue Otters. And this is what we were hoping for. The previous game, a little bit stumpy overall, wanting this one to be a little bit more back and forth. G2H, lofty expectations for themselves. They'll be disappointed with the way that stage 1 went. They came second overall, but you know, for a team like this, that's not what they would have been wanting. They wouldn't have wanted to be losing out to Mental Rush in that finals, and they didn't even make it that competitive. It was a 3-1, so lots to prove now for this G2H roster.
Most certainly is. We see the junglers around mid lane once again. See if Lily gets walked into by Sheena here. Does look like we could see a little bit of a scrap. There's just a bit of a standoff going on. Good chunk of damage coming down from Vyoshin on the top side onto Melanchola. Does go mega, hops forward, finds an arrow into the wall. Wallop comes down. Rock's gonna get blocked by the minion, however, so Zergot can just walk away.
I think even with being able to land that toss onto the Urgot, you probably were going to be able to just about get away right there. Melanchola, although big aggression coming on as, uh-oh, you do not want to be getting caught out right there. That's just going to be a quick kill coming on through.
Most certainly is another death onto Sheena, another kill into Lily's back pocket.
And things getting better and better right here early on as Blue Otter, they're beginning to establish themselves with a composition that needed to get rolling a little bit, but, you know, isn't going to begin to fall off. And the pick potential of this composition is so strong that being able to find it multiple times early on in the game, just going to be able to reinforce that playstyle as they go on through. Still, the gold lead only about 1.5k, nothing that you couldn't overcome.
Now, I have a question for you. Given the early power of this Udyr so far, 2-0, do you think we'll see many more fights, especially around the grubs, or do you think G2H are just going to give it across?
I don't think you can just sit back, right? As much as you've got yourself a comp where there's a couple champions that can scale well, that don't need early gold injections to make things happen, that is simply not the case for the Pantheon. Sheena has to get things going early on, otherwise this Pantheon will fall behind, will not be particularly useful going on forwards. You at least do have a Nico and a Gnar to be that engage if you're not able to be, but you want to be as this Pantheon, so you do still want to be getting involved. You want to be looking for these skirmishes. Topside's going to be something you can play around potentially that little bit more, but when you fall so far behind to the Udyr, it is going to be tricky. You know, they might be a little bit reticent, but that'll just lead them to fall further behind still.
Certainly could. We see pings coming down onto these grubs already, however, so it does look like we might get a contest if Blue Otters decide they want it.
Yeah, indeed. So far, though, looks like G2H just going to be able to start this one up relatively easily. There was a reset coming on through right here. Then that is going to be a little bit of a delay. The first couple of grubs, at least, will be going on over to G2. They're going Gonna get all
Should be.
three.
It's a small solace given how this early game is going.
It's something, especially when you've got yourself a Gnar and a Pantheon and a Rise. There's a lot of split push potential for this composition, so having that extra threat onto the towers is not nothing, although we'll have to see how much it's going to matter. Obviously, you have to be strong enough to be pushing onto towers to make that work. Ooh, that was very close.
A lot of damage coming down. There is the Fear Beyond Death. Unfortunately, Lily is still an Udyr, still can't quite get super easily in range.
No, and that's going to be the main thing, right? Trying to get on top of any of these champions. Really, when you're sprinting at them all, you'd love to be able to get yourself onto Saharumi, but that's going to be really tricky. I think the most likely option, most of the time, is just going to be trying to get on top of Kaltis, and that's always going to be a little bit tricky.
Certainly will be. Most of this gold lead, the 1.6 thousand gold that Blue Waters are in the lead, is coming from this jungle position at present. It's Lily 2-0 on this Udyr, very, very strong.
But not really doing too much with it at the moment, kind of just looking to keep on farming up. Has now got that Shojin, so you are in a great spot to be able to go and try to get aggressive. Could be looking bot lane at the moment.
Could indeed.
Not really anything to
There are
find
some
down
vision
here,
for now.
though.
Dragon is nearly up, likely what they're looking for.
Yeah, very much so. Just going to be keeping on the pressure in terms of these objectives, and that's certainly something you can keep playing around. If you do think your top lane not necessarily going to be the strongest bastion for you, just keep playing around the bot side, keep this Ashe Seraphine safe. One of the bot lanes we saw more than anything else throughout this year, and for good reason, just can be so oppressive, not just in the laning phase, but once you get out of it as well.
Could see a dive on towards this top side here as the second dragon goes across. In comes Cultist with the Realm Warp. Teleport is going to be matched by Tifa, however, and the play is just going to be called off.
I mean, in this situation, right, you've got yourself these double globals and you're not using them effectively. You're heading up towards the top lane to see if you're going to get something going. It's not going to happen, and you're heading back to base and not really getting anything going. As much as we've been saying that G2H don't have to start their engines right at the very offset of this game, falling behind like they have, kind of across the board overall, just the top lane where they've got themselves a little bit of an advantage is rough. Now, the fact you've got this advantage in the top lane when the Urgot is picked as a counter hit into the Gnar is kind of crazy, very much showing off the quality of Wirelessnet as a player.
Absolutely. Pixel perfect usage of her abilities for the early stages has allowed her to accrue a small lead. You can see Lily up towards this top side. Might not make anything happen. It's just a bit of a slower early game state than would otherwise be expected.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, this pace is really slow, and I do think this is something that we have seen overall out of G2 in some of their matches. When they don't think they can just simply run over their opponents, which they often can do, they do play a little bit of a slower, more build-up from the ground kind of style, looking to get themselves towards those item breakpoints to really play around, and that's coming very soon, right? The Ezreal, once you get that first item completed, you're going to be online. That Trinity Force going to be here very soon. Same thing as well with getting that Sundered Sky completed here for Sheena, and she does now have that. So you are now very close, couple minutes to being online, and then you have to accelerate the pace of this game. If this continues to be played out this slowly, I do worry a little bit just for trying to actually get a foothold into this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you have a comp that excels at controlling an area first, but if you can't find yourself some more footing, you're going to struggle to control areas first just off of that small little gold lead that is being accrued. We can see a lot of it, in fact, in the bot side as well, nearly matching that jungle diff gold-wise, just off of plates.
Are they going to go for this anyway?
Another play towards the top side. They could indeed. Kaltis is moving. Doesn't quite have the run walk back. Lily's in the area. Melancholia gonna miss
the arrow
dash, and a beautiful Gnar into Wallop. Finest on 2. Tifa is here, finding the shot onto many. A good arrow came through to stop anyone else falling, but Melancholia will go down in the end. It's Vyojna on the board.
And that was really nice on the arrow right there. If you don't land that arrow here, as Strasserspander, things get so much worse for you, but instead, it's just going to be a delay, although this is a big mistake, getting caught out right on the Raptors. He's going to have to flash away, at least we'll live.
That is rough for an Udyr, though. Flash is a big part of your engage.
Yeah, it's the engage, right? I mean, what else do you do? This is not with Ghost. This is just simply okay about flashing at your opponents.
Yeah, I was gonna say a mutual expending of ultimates there to not get too much in return.
Just looking, trying to have a little bit of fun overall. Still, the fact that we get that little bit of explosivity and then you get that gold right here into the Gnar. Nearly 1,000 gold lead coming right in for Wyosna. And again, this is a matchup that you think should be pretty bad for the Gnar overall. It's really tricky to play out early on. If you get caught out at any point, if you're able to get caught up by this Urgot, things can go wrong for you exceptionally fast, but instead has been able to get to this Trinity Force. Good item breakpoint was really good as well with that ulti earlier on, and this is what we expect out of Wyosna, but seeing it through right here, a big part of why G2H are not panicking about this game.
That's a very, very low Lumi.
Good
Gonna
flash.
have to flash to safety. Arrow going to tag onto Sheena.
Blast cone. Nope.
Down goes Lumi in the end. Good flash from Tifa to secure the first kill.
There we go. And again, as much as we are praising what's happening up in the top lane right here for G2H, Blue Water are still doing incredibly well for themselves across the rest of the map. We still got Blue and Tifa in good spots.
Altis gonna get flash flipped under the tower. Phoebe on death is not available. He's gonna live, but by a hair.
Altis, that was bold. That was really bold right there. And well, as much as the Urgot is often win lane lose game, right now not particularly winning the lane either. We're going to see the Rift Tower going into the mid lane. This should be the full mid lane tower being picked up. Massive injection of gold. And yeah, as we were expecting, G2H played a little bit of a slower early game, but seemed to have come online.
Absolutely have soul point now for Blue Otters 16 minutes into this game. And it's still a 1.6 thousand gold lead. That's about to get closed a little bit here. Never mind, Sheena couldn't quite find purchase on the tower. The A plate will go down, but it's not going to change too much as there is now a TP in from Melancholia. Going to get stunned up, not going to be able to find the flip. Good room prism. Vyosha going to get caught by the charm. Getting rinsed.
Oh.
Can't find the mega. Can't grow in size. And is absolutely annihilated. Tifa looking for Sheena. Looking to prove. Will find another. That one will go to Strasspanda as well. And off of the back of what should have been G2H's resurgence in this game, the Otters find their mark.
Yes, they do, and that's going to be a couple kills going down onto some key members right here. Strasspanda, massive to be able to pick up a little bit of extra gold, really make things working, and that's going to be 2 items completed now. 2,000 gold, the advantage, off the back of what has been just a ton of turret plating fed straight into her pockets. And this Blue Otter's composition is well and truly online. The only bit they're not having work out for them at the moment is Melancholia up in the top lane. But still, as much as the Urgot, maybe not my favourite champion, if you're able to run at your opponents and grab them in the disdain, things are okay.
Absolutely. For now, we should go back to a slightly slower game state. Waiting for that next dragon for the side of Blue Otters. Just accelerate this game beyond repair.
Yeah, and if they want to do that, if they really want to fully take control of this game, I really want to see them using the pick potential of this composition effectively. Landing a charm, landing an enchanted crystal arrow, potentially just grabbing a charge out of Melancholia onto somebody stepping a little bit out of position. The amount of wombo combo that you have, chain CC potential out of this Blue Otter composition is really strong. And that's not to say that they still can't team fight. Specifically the Encore coming through has been really good so far. Graciosa has been nice with that one, and it's a big part of why you're able to step forward so confidently, because if you draw your opponents in too far and they get hit by that Encore, it's going to be game over.
Absolutely is. I mean, we saw it in that last fight, right? Vyosna got locked up for so long, despite having maxed Rage, could not transform into Mega, and it did cost her life. If we see a little bit more of that out of G2H, and then the ensuing team fights where you're playing at a numbers advantage, it's Could get dangerous as Vyozhna looking aggressively on the bot lane. Does have Sheena in the wings. Slows come down. Gnar backwards. Wallop comes down. A good stun comes through. Arrow's not going to land. Unfortunately for Melanchola, it is Sheena picking up that one for herself.
Ooh, and if we're talking about chain CC, it's not like G2 Hell can't also play with that one. You saw it right there. Very, very tricky to be able to get away when you are caught in the clutches of these G2 Hell members. The kill isn't going to result in too much overall right now. You do see some pings on towards the Baron. It would be very bold to send everybody over towards the Baron right as it spawns out of G2 Hell. I think they are just pinging to say that it is up. It is something they could potentially be looking at. They're not going to have the fastest Baron take overall, though. Things will continue on. I think more importantly is going to be this Drake spawning up in a minute and 30 seconds time. That will be the full soul for the Blue Otters if they can grab it.
Certainly will be. It'll be a very fast soul, which means we are looking at a very fast Elder Dragon. Not very often you see games happen quite this quickly, but Blue Otters have had their eye on the mark from the get-go. Been playing for it exceptionally well. The pings coming down across the map. It is just a LoL state for now, and it is Blue Otters with this lead still. 2,700 gold in the lead. Only one tower down on either. Sorry, two towers down on one side, one on the other. We see Virtuosa looking to just clear out some vision around this top side. They know Baron's a threat, especially if they look to play for this objective.
Still, as much as you need to keep covering off for a potential Baron, Drake is going to be the main thing right here. Smite gonna land. Eggler's just going to be able to pick that one up. A little bit of extra vision, always going to be nice. And this is the make or break point right here for Blue Otter. As much as they've played this early game incredibly well, and they should be proud of how they've played, closing it out through this mid game is still going to be very tricky, especially when G2 Hell's composition is really beginning to come into its own. Just a minute or so until this Rise is really going to be ripping through people. So you potentially want to try to push it right now. Find yourself that pick. You've got a great composition for finding a pick. Let's see if they're going to be able to grab it.
Time will tell. It is G2 Hell with this inside line, which means their poke can truly start to come up front. Teleport in from Tifa to play on one side. Dragon is started up by G2 Hell as Blue Otters look to move in. Hot Blossom only tags onto one. Trishop rises over the top, and everybody starts to look to go in. Nah, it's not going to land anything into the wall. Aragot finds the fear beyond death into Vyozhna, and fears four members. Down goes Lumi, down goes Sakuroni. It's a double kill for Lily. Sheena's forced out the back by Tifa. Flash over the wall will go down as well. 4 quick kills for absolutely no price. Soul goes across, and Baron's on the cards. Blue Otters have played exceptionally well till this point, and they don't slow down now.
Beautiful, beautiful right there, but don't let the lovely fear come and distract from just how important that encore was. That encore was everything right there to the Blue Otters. Tags across 2 key members. Vyozhna specifically gets caught by that and just isn't able to play out the rest of the team fight. The Blue Otters, as much as the early game was looking good, we just talked about how it was potentially tricky to play this next team fight out, but they do it to perfection. And now with Baron, now with Soul, they are completely in control of this one.
They most certainly are. It's so hard for G2 Hell to play into an Ocean Soul. A lot of their damage is poke based, and it's just going to get healed over time. We'll see how Blue Otters can siege in the next 2 minutes or so with this Baron up and available and in their hands. Elder in 5 minutes. We are looking at a very early Elder this game.
Oh yeah. And right now, that's going to be pretty terrifying to G2 Hell. They do not want to be losing a matchup right here. Get themselves a less impressive opponent in the next round, sure, but you still want to be winning every single matchup. They will be annoyed that they came second in the first stage and could potentially be looking at getting knocked down into the 1-on-1 category in this second one. Big push coming on through the mid lane for the Blue Otters. There's at least a response out of G2 Hell. They get themselves some pressure down on the bottom side of the map, but I don't think the Otters care. They're looking to crack open this mid lane, crack open this top lane, and give themselves tons of space on the other side of the map. Those waves pushing for them, whilst you're then able to go and play around the Elder, would be huge.
It absolutely would be. It's the middle inhib, or middle out inner, sorry, gone. Top inner is next on the list. You can see 4 members moving up towards it now. Sheena gonna have to use the edge to solve the safety. A beautiful encore over the top. I'm not sure if the damage is quite there. Kaltis is looking. The Pop Blossoms on the backside. I don't actually think that catches onto anybody. Melanchola is just kind of existing in the enemy backline here. And with already a very core ultimate blown for G2H, they just have to continue to give purchase. Vyozhna's still on the bot side, still looking to push, able to get a tier 2 of her own, but I don't think it makes a huge difference in the immediate. If Kaltis can get too much done here, they are just going
deep
to back
TP.
off now as the teleport's coming in on the backside. Vyozhna is largely on her own at the moment. Grand Starfall into the backside as well. Realm Orb's coming in too, and they're stuck in a trifecta of death as they're just going to run Sheena down. Lily able to find a stun onto Vyozhna and run out the other way. And it is Sheena whose life is the forfeit.
No.
And now every other member of G2H is up way too far. A teleport on the backside as Kaltis is the next to fall to Stratus Panda. Meganar going to back, but it doesn't matter. It's a double kill. Theory carry, a blue Otters, a beautiful charm on the backside makes it a triple kill. The flanks, the patience, all it takes for blue Otters is a moment of indecision from G2H, and they come alive on the battlefield. They break the first inhibitor. Opponent is Lumi on her own, looking to defend this game. It doesn't matter. Tifa able to find every little skill shot she needs. 5 seconds on Sheena and 17 on anybody else at a minimum as the first Nexus Tower will fall. And the second is not far behind. 10,500 gold in the lead. 26 minutes into the game. Blue Otters send G2H packing in this game. They want to win every game that they can. Well, so do the Otters.
Okay, there we go. Blue Otters playing around a ton of bot lane power. And it's something that we said when we were behind the scenes, when we were chatting about this draft. I think I said it basically verbatim. I was like, I wouldn't want to give over the Ashe Seraphine, but I guess if you're G2H, you don't care. Well, clearly they should have a little bit more. And it isn't that the bot lane was running over their bot lane. It was that there was just so much pressure in the bot side of the map that you were then completely and utterly unlocked here. As clear to get into the enemy jungle to try for some steals was red on the initial steal, but then was able to play out the rest of it. But more importantly, was able to just keep picking up these drakes time and time again. So much pressure on the bottom side of the map, so much power coming through from there that it accelerated the pace of the game ahead of where the G2 members could really keep up, and they just slipped away from them.
Yeah, absolutely. Game 1 was a very iron grip game. This one was clinical. This was Blue Otters making every decision they could to accelerate this game to a point where the enemy just could not scale, and they did it to perfection.
It was really nice. It was
said,
really nice.
It was.
Yeah.
It was beautifully played from the side of the Otters. I think G2H are going to be going away from this one licking their wounds a little bit.
Very, very much so. They had some power going on in the top lane, and hey, I've just watched an Urgot lose lane and win game. It's good to see something a little bit different on my screen for once with this champion.
It absolutely is. That being said, we are going to throw it to a very quick break while we set up for game number 3 of the day. That is me done. It's been a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, but plenty of our other wonderful talent will still be around to bring you the rest of the day. So don't go anywhere, because the day's just begun.
Welcome back to EUniverse as we are getting ready to take a look at Vitality Rising Bees once more, but this time they have to face another Goliath. They have to face SKA Avarosa. We have what is assumed to be one hell of a matchup.
I think you're hitting like the nail completely on the head. Like, we're looking at two organizations who've been in this esports for such a long time. I think SK is even like one of the main pillars, like also one of the organizers of the Equal Esports Cup that has been name dropped before, also during the format explainer, because well, if you win that competition, you also get one of the final spots later during the year of like for League Game Changers. So already having to face such an organization with the results they've had in the past, with the players they've signed again for this year, it will be a lot more of a challenge for Vitality, and it is something that I'm not necessarily fearful of, but it is something that I want to still keep in mind after we just, well, seen them for our first game against Brest. And there they, well, had a little bit of a cakewalk. Like, sure, it was like a game that they played out very well, but there were also moments at the ending of the game that they could have ended sooner, that they were becoming a little bit more sloppy because they had a really big gold lead, and those are mistakes you cannot afford yourselves when you're playing against the likes of SK Avarosa.
Yeah, now we take a look at the rosters here as well. Once more, you already saw them in the Rift, but OP, Delicate, Rim, Cosmic, and Honda are composing the Vitality Rising Bees. On the other side of SK Avarosa, we do have an interesting lineup as well in Golfieg. I'm assuming it's the name of the player. Yoshia, Apollonia, Nenris, and okay, so it's Wolfie only. Okay, we forget about the G's. And we got OC as well on the support role. Now, before we get into this, the talk about both teams, we do have a little bit of an interview with Nenris that we can take a look at. Okay, well, this is awkward because okay, so the cue would be, I mean, it's already I already told you which one it would be. I am lost. Well, we're gonna be taking a look at probably their expectations for SK.
On a, let's say, on normal performance, we will be top 3, at least top 2 maybe. But I still think we're lacking a bit more to be top 1. But at least top 2 maybe. But I still think we're lacking a bit more to be top 1. But I think just on a really good day, of course, we can make it. But right now, we're lacking the consistency for it.
So those were the words of Nenris from SK. Some very interesting words. Of course, some expectations on SK. She is liking the fact, if I'm not wrong, we did have some sound issues on our side, but from what I heard back when I was listening to the clips, I do understand that she thinks that they're top 3, but they could be a little bit better.
Personally, I think it's a good take. That's why I would place them so far. But as you said, because I did not hear the interview, they can aim for better. They have, like, I would say, young players, like for example AOC and Yushia. They played with Solari before, but I think they are players that still have a ceiling to reach. They are far from it so far, I think. So they have a lot to do as a team, in my opinion.
And I feel like what better place to prove yourself than right here. Like, we are in the 2-0 part of the bracket, so that means that you have already found yourself amongst at least the top 4 teams within this stage of the competition. And, well, sure, you're not facing the other teams that are 2-0. You are facing Vitality Rising Bees, but hey, that is the opponent that is, by, once again, a lot of the teams be engaged as one of the strongest, yeah, well, if not the strongest team in the competition thus far. Even with the, well, then probably the disappointing results of stage 1, but if you want to make yourself the exemplary of that top 3 and perhaps even more, then you just have to show it by winning this game. Sure, it is a best of 1, like other things can happen in best of 3, best of 5 series, but this is at least a start to add yourself towards that list, because top 4 winning right now would at least add you to the stage, like the Swiss stage 2, top 2. So hey, that is something to aim for.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of opponents, we also have some more awards from Nenris, if we can take a look at what she had to say about her opponents, of course.
I would like to face Mental Rush because we didn't play them last stage. So I would love to see what happens in this one. And I think I really need our revenge against G2. Those games really, they were really unsatisfying.
So Mental Rush and G2 are the teams that Nenris wants to face off. Well, she has to go against the Bees first. But yeah, definitely. I feel like it would be a banger, like SKA against Mental Rush. That could be one hell of a match if we do get to see them go up against each other on the Swiss stage.
I hope we did not got spoiled, because I saw a draft coming, but
clear that image, clear that mental image. We saw nothing.
I remember one champ. It's okay.
It's fine.
But yeah, SKA were also having the first pick. What do you think they can take? Maybe deny to Vitality that are very strong recently.
This is gonna be a fun draft, of course. You did mention they have the first pick. They're playing blue side. Vitality are gonna play on the red side, and we see the Mel getting banned first. I think Vitality were just playing Mel, I think, on the last match. So, well, once again, teams are paying attention to whatever each one are playing, really.
All drafts thus far that we've had here on like our main stream have been sort of curveballs from time to time. Like we've had expectations and some of them came through, some of them actually were like completely shattered. So I don't know if it's like fairly easy to make a prediction what might be first pick. Like we might be able to tell something because, well, when you're banning a champion like Mel, like are you now planning to go that Seraphine Ashe route? Are you planning to go that Ahri maybe even blind pick route if the other mid lane champions aren't strong enough considering your pool? And on the other side, well, Varus being banned, it's not just for your bot lane matchups, it's also potentially aiming towards, do we want to play a tank on the top lane that doesn't like to play in those percentage max HP kind of matchups where Varus and Vayne become a really big nuisance to play into. So calm and calculated drafts, not a lot of surprises thus far, but it is just... it still can go anywhere. Like, we're still playing best of ones, there's still teams just playing towards their strengths, and it still wouldn't surprise me if at least one champion, if not more, is just a main champion being piloted from solo queue. You are already 2 games in, and keep in mind, the more League you play, like, after each other, so like in rapid succession, the more tired you're going to get, like the concentration is going to be less, so you become more reliant on pocket picks because you know how to play them on autopilot. Maybe not like the biggest thing right now, but as long as we start progressing further and further throughout the day, I do expect to see more and more of those pocket picks.
Yeah, we definitely would love to see some of those pocket picks. We did see some unconventional champions according to the meta right now. We saw the Urgot, we saw, even on the first match, I'm trying to remember, I think it was on bot lane? I'm not sure. Anyways, but following up, we do see the Nocturne being picked, which maybe directs me a little bit more towards what Vitality Rising Bees are trying to do. Maybe make a lot of more bets towards the side lane, because of course we know that Nocturne is very good working with the solo laner to try and shut down those solo lane or those side lane pressure. So having them ban that, we do see the Karma being banned, which is going to follow up with the Zoe, maybe another one of those picks that's targeted towards the mid lane of Apollonia. So what do we expect them to prioritize here? We saw a lot of bot lane prio on the first drafts. What do we expect here?
According to the bans from the left side, from the SKA, I think they are planning to blind support or bot lane, at least one of the two.
It's also looking at toward champions like Caitlyn, perhaps the Orianna. I feel like Orianna is one of those champions that thus far got very far through draft. It was a B1 pick for the longest of times, and it's currently being played a bit less because of the removal of Face Rush and Storm Raider Surge not being as effective on the champion. And I feel like Vitality tried to already get rid of this potential pick by banning the Nocturne, because we know the classic Nocturne Orianna combo. It is something that teams put a lot of practice in, but it's not the only ball delivery system that there is in the game. There are still options for, well, the Jarvan they're picking away now themselves, but there's still a Zinzao that can jump into a team. There's still a Nafiri that can jump into a team. So there are too many champions you have to remove if you want to get rid of that Orianna, unless you just ban Orianna flat out. So I'm hoping that Vitality has like an answer on this lane as well, because else you just gave one of the stronger mid laners just for free over to your enemy team.
And it's funny because we did mention on some of these earlier drafts, we are seeing a lot of like, okay, you pick this, I'm going to try and take that synergy out of your draft. So we keep seeing it again. We do see the Senna being picked from Vitality Rising Bees. Shope, I got to throw it to you. How are you feeling about the Senna pick? I'm already a fan. I know you don't like it.
I was about to comment on the fact that we talked already about Senna. I don't have preferences in the teams today, so I don't care about this Senna anymore. But against my team, it would have been a disaster. But it's a good pick recently. Like she likes the new rune. I forgot the name. And
the Fire Touch,
and she's very strong. And I think, since Seraphine is not up, it's also like a good way to have like the same peeling with Jarvan, for example, that can go in and have Senna that to heal him up and shield with her ult and stuff. So I think it's a good like answer when there is no Seraphine, for example.
It's curious because, okay, we see the Senna being paired up with that Fire Touch is like the solo queue way to go about it. We do see a lot of the pros being putting Senna, especially on fleet footwork for survivability and stuff. I wonder what kind of route Cosmic is going to go, if she's going to go the more aggressive way or if she's going to go like just the more cautious way and trying to play around the survivability of the champion. On the other side, you do see the Bard and then the Fury being picked. This Senna is going to have a hard time.
Big chances that the fleet footwork will get picked up here, because normally I'd say that the Deathfire Touch is also there for the interaction with Black Cleaver, just instantly proccing the full passive to shred through armor, and currently your opposing team doesn't have a lot of like armor you have to crack through thus far, like not talking about like when the tanks or like when the bruisers actually get locked in, but we see that an AD carry still has to be picked in the top laner, so that's probably like one champion that you can have the value on. That does still put me towards that the Senna is nice in those situations, but the fact that I'm seeing Orianna Nafiri, like as the first, well, Orianna wasn't really an answer, but the Nafiri is an answer, against a very squishy champion like Senna that takes a lot of time to get online, does make me a little bit afraid of when this Nafiri gets out of control and has the support of the Shockwave on top of that. It is a really difficult champion to stop, because it's not just a mobile champion with 2 dashes, it also has that invulnerability to dodge crucial forms of CC or reset tower aggro, etc, and it's really difficult to play into that when you're playing Senna, when your only peeling tool is that W skill shot, which can be dodged or can be tanked by a dog, and then like the Neferi jumps away from it or sends the dog flying with her Q so she doesn't get targeted by it. So it is still really difficult to play into, even with the security of Senna being very strong in this meta and having that scaling potential when, well, the early game might be so rough to play through, and we still don't know what AD carry is even being put up to it, except for the bans for Varus and Caitlyn that we've seen before.
Yeah, even the Neferi is like a key point for right now in terms of draft for SKA Varosa. You do see as well that right now the Neferi only really subjects itself to Jarvan CC because it's like the most AoE kind of CC with a Cataclysm. But well, lockdown CC from Nautilus is either going to be the ultimate that can be dodged or is going to be the auto attack. Well, Senna is not going to connect the W like you said, so this is going to be very awkward if you're playing into this comp right now if you're Vitality Rising Beast. We do see the Caitlyn and the Ambessa getting locked for this draft as well, the Syndra and the Wei. You want to give comfort to your mid laner if you're SKA Varosa. What do we feel like it can be picked into this Orianna right now?
versus Oriana, usually I see a lot of teams taking a lot of range, like Huawei or something like that, but it has been banned, so they made a good work, and we can see this Aurora that can be a flex for the top lane.
Can be flex.
But it's in itself, it's a good answer to Oriana, if I'm not mistaken, on the mid matchup.
I think it's okay. I would like to see something different, though, from Vitality. I feel like if you ban the Nocturne, you know that you want to pressure the side lanes. And correct me if I'm wrong, Sam, but into the Oriana, I think the Ryze is okay. The Ryze is open. Could be a decent pick here in this matchup right now.
I guess if you're picking Ryze, you will struggle in the early stages, because once Ryze kind of struggles from the same thing as Oriana with the removal of Phase Rush. Like, the early game positioning in small trades is just difficult, and sidestepping then not really the skill shots, but just all of the AoE abilities that Oriana can throw at you is very difficult. I think the Aurora at least is more of a skill matchup, because you can now time your forms of like hops or jumps towards like what the Oriana is doing, so to play more reactive in lane. But I wonder what their final decision will be, because it is that open flex pick, and now that they have the information of Aatrox and Jhin also being added to the Rift, do they want a better answer into the Aatrox, or do they want to switch at Oriana over, or like the Aurora over to the top lane and look for something else into the Oriana that is either perhaps more supportive for the team, because Galio Jarvan, always a combination that can be played, but that means that you are playing that more supportive role and not necessarily the aggressive role that you perhaps want to play into the Oriana.
Ooh, and the Ornn is going to be the last pick from Vitality Rising Bees. This comp is looking juicy. On the other side, we saw the Aatrox, like you mentioned. You saw the Jhin as well. Well, the Jhin is going to have a hard time, especially against Nautilus Ornn, but I like the Bard supporting it. I like the 2v2 against the Nautilus Senna on the bot side, so that's going to be okay in terms of bot side. Now, we do have the confirmation that Aurora is going to be mid against the Oriana. Do we feel like Ornn was a decent pick into Aatrox? Like, once again, it feels more of like a front line kind of role, right?
Honestly, I don't know the matchup exactly. I think it would go a bit for Aatrox, but it's better than a Sion usually. But Aatrox likes tanks. But as you said, I think she picked Ornn for the team, because the team fights with like Jarvan or Nautilus will be like really strong, really big, and it will give a lot of difficulties for Naafiri to go through these CCs to get to Senna or Aurora especially.
So you do have all the CC ready in the world, but who we have ready in the world as well to talk about the CC and the state of the game is going to be Thousand Eyes and Black Bloxer, since they're going to take the lead role into this matchup. So take it away, guys, and have a good match.
And welcome everybody. We are jumping straight into our match as we have it ready to go. I am Thousand Eyes here alongside Bloxer. Bloxer, how are you feeling? I know you were a little upset about some of the characters that we did get picked here.
Yep. I mean, I'm very excited for this matchup. Obviously, two teams coming in 2-0 through the Swiss early on and looking really, really solid. We got to see Vitality in our first game. I'm not the biggest fan of the Naafiri. I think it's great. Don't get me wrong. This is not me saying the champion is bad. This is me saying watching it jump up, say, no, you can't hit me now, actually, during every team fight is infuriating. Playing against it, not my favorite experience. But for SKA Avarosa, when they're looking to get themselves to 3-0 here in this Swiss, definitely something that could carry them.
Absolutely. And also just kind of have to keep in mind the scaling here that we have from Vitality Rising Bees. The Senna will get very strong later into the game. The Aurora can hit a very hard spike that can pop a lot of what SK have put together as well. So it is going to be very heavily about can they get themselves on their feet and moving here, as we're going to see our junglers both moving down onto the bottom side of the map, moving towards that bot lane, but I think we're going to see SK go for an early back here, so not going to get a lot of action.
Now, everything seems to be backing off so far. It'll be very interesting to see just how much aggression we're going to be getting on the rest of the map, but I feel like we can't ignore what's happening top lane right now.
Helpy, what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, this is unfortunately just kind of what can happen in this matchup. The Ornn is really strong, but also once you've shoved that wave in, you've got to make sure you've got some re-entry to go for it. Ooh. Everybody's just going to be able to re-head in, as getting some spotting out right here, and Bud does a surprising amount of damage in the first couple levels.
Not just that, but we also do have Delicate here, who's able to walk up and just take that blue buff away. And now they're going to just walk over, grab the Scuttle Crab as well. So the early roams here, what you want to see from Honda.
Yeah, very, very much so. And really good to be seeing this coming through early on. I like the early aggression as well. This is exactly what we were talking about, right? Anytime that you've got yourself in a Fury, you want to play aggressive, you want to be getting into the faces of your opponents, and especially into a matchup where you've got things like the Aurora and the Senna most specifically, you're waiting quite a long time for this composition really to be coming online, so you've got ages to be trying to get aggressive and get things kickstarted.
Yeah, and just especially early as we do actually see here, Yushia walking forward, going to put a little bit of damage down and just back away. But kind of like we were mentioning, that early game damage from the Bard, especially with the Electrocute here that has started to just come back into favor for Bard. For how long was Guardian the play, and now we finally have Electrocute back. That early game damage on the Bard really makes you a much bigger threat than people might be used to.
Absolutely, and I just love whenever we get to see Bards play with that kind of aggression, and Honda already doing that, stepping up, being annoying, and that's the job of a Bard, right? To be as frustrating as possible, and I think that's kind of the same thing for a lot of the champions in this game right here. Like we were saying, the Fury, really annoying to deal with. Yep. Aatrox, also incredibly frustrating if you don't have enough anti-heal or lockdown CC. You're able to get a couple different charges off, and you're able to heal so much through that ulti. This whole composition going to be very frustrating, and it's going to take a very precise hand coming through out of SKA Verosa to be able to beat it.
Absolutely. Annoying is definitely, I think, what I was called the most as a Bard 1 trick for so long. Yeah, it's just a lot of like all chat question marks and people asking why you're there.
Yes, very much so.
That's how you know you're a good
Bard. Doesn't have an
Bard.
answer.
Yeah,
you don't know why you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a chime to go for. Meeps.
Exactly.
To be collecting. That's the important thing. All right,
Alpi.
Big push coming through again.
Alpi, I think Alpi, we can't be going for this. I do fear Wolfie is very capable of pushing you away from the proxy, and
surely Yushia is looking top lane and going, right, try that one more time. I dare you. Still, with all of that push going on in the top lane, potentially drawing a jungler up there, is going to open up this Drake to being taken, and with the bot lane pressure coming through as well, this should be pretty easy to pick up right here for Delicate. Exactly what you want to be doing early, because Jarvan's all about the early ganks, all about getting things going early on. The Neferi can be very aggressive, can skirmish heavy, but if you're able to just grab as many of these objectives as possible and not fight pre that first item, you're going to be happy with this.
Absolutely. This Jarvan also still is behind, because we do see that level 6 there for Delicate. Meanwhile, Yushia still level 5 on the Jarvan and not close to level 6. This is not going to ping level 6, so getting caught out here is going to be a little bit of an issue. Okay. Going to see the ult here on the Aatrox. Going to run down, force the flash out of Yushia. Good job here by Alpi to force a little bit of defensive measures. Now we're seeing so much damage being put down onto Nenris, who has to back away. Seeing enough front line here from AOC, who will get out thanks to the hook. But that is defensive play once again from Vitality Rising Bees. They are on the back foot right now.
Absolutely they are, and like you were saying, right, with that Electrocute coming on through, Fleet as well, I mean, you could just keep stepping to your opponents right here. Talking stepping to your opponents, level 6 to level 5 means that right now you're feeling pretty confident to just keep stepping up as Delicate, seeing if you can steal this one away. Neferi, such a safe champion, so annoying to play against, can just leap back over the back of the Baron pit if you don't win out on this smite fight, and in fact, it looks like it's just going to be conceded away. This sucks, to just lose your red buff in front of your face. Nothing you can do about it.
Not just that, but also just with how much Jarvan really does love having that Cataclysm as early as possible. Being able to make plays with that. Yeah, it's like you have the EQ, and that's great for the early game, but once level 6 starts coming around, like, you really need that ult to feel impactful as a champion, and to not have that for so long does just put you behind on the timer, and this is already a team that has to look to scale.
Absolutely, and you say as much as, like, it's good early on. Oh, hang on. There you go.
Oh, yeah, we got a little bit of action here, as we are going to see Delicate try to run away, will get Cataclysm, but there is the Nefiri W to just keep running away.
My God.
Still alive. Senna ult going to whiff on the damage, but still do get enough from the shield. Now we're seeing a little bit of a scramble as Honda's going to go down, and SK now caught out a little bit too much. Vitality find their way into this game.
There we go. Okay, things looking a little bit rough for a second right there, but pulled back around. And that's just a really nice hook coming through. The dredge line was just able to stop Delicate from being able to leap away one more time. Probably would have gotten her to safety. And all of a sudden, all the praise we were putting over onto the heads of SK flips back around.
Yeah, just can see the early engage here. And credit where it is due. Delicate staying alive for so long, getting out of the Cataclysm, and meanwhile there's just a fight. Impala here just doing so much. See Nenris just completely 1v2ing for the time being, and then by the time they move back over, it is already over. Vitality Rising Bees are now just finally feeling like they're able to play in this game.
And this is a problem with kind of just not quite playing around the strengths of your composition. The Nefiri is really good on a pick, and really good alongside the bar to go get a pick onto somebody. But at this point in the game, the Jhin really doesn't give you very much. So neither does the Senna, of course, but then you're playing into a Jarvan and a Nautilus. Now that's plenty of CC, that's plenty of early skirmishing power available to them. They can really play together well at this point in the game, and so just a little bit of a mistake right there out of Vitality. They're not going to be cowed by it though, still stepping up.
Yeah, to see a little bit more, and they are, again, just getting into Yushia's face, not giving her the ability to get stable here, and also just not deterred from a little bit of a misstep there. They got caught out early, and now we're going to see a little bit more action. Heal just used for the move speed, as we're going to see this Aurora back away, probably going to leave AOC to die, as there will be a dead Nautilus. Going to see the flash here by Apollonia, who gets away, but it is still now a little bit more here for the Vitality Rising Bees.
And they go, and yeah, after that little bit of whoopsie, we'll call it, down in the bottom side of the map, fully able to re-stabilize themselves in this game. And I mean, look where it is that the gold has gone. When you're picking up the kills as SK, that's good, but you get the kill onto the Jarvan, onto the Nautilus, Over on the other side of things, now you've got yourself an Aatrox and an Orianna already rolling in this game. Vitality are going to be feeling good about this early game so far.
Oh, uh-oh, this is not what you want to see. Good root here. Thanks to... Oh my god, the Senna ult is actually going to grab this. There's a fight up at the top side as well as we see people go down. In comes to the Fury here as Delicate going to protect Cosmic here.
Holy, that was a lot of damage coming on through right there from SK. And this is the thing, their composition when they do pick someone out when you're trying to run away from these champions that SK have for themselves, very unlikely to be successful. Now, up in the top lane, Wolfie just got a solo kill. I hope we get a replay of this. Is this just a certified Ornn moment?
I would have to imagine here. We are gonna get the...
Where's the mistake? Stepping too close to this wall?
Yep.
Oh no, actually gets put in the bounce house right here. That's really nice. Holy. Okay,
that's
Wolfie.
Disgusting.
Yeah, that's just styling on kids right there. Oh my god. As well as that styling, also got the Bramble Vest in inventory. So everything that the Jarvan and the Nefiri wanting to do is going to be cut in half as well. SK, they've definitely got a top laner to play around here.
Definitely here, as we're going to see them do something with the time they've been given here, as Vitality Rising Beast will come up and grab these Void Grubs, continue to move themselves forward. Now, just taking a look here, just overall throughout this game, even though there is a kill lead for SK, we are seeing a gold lead for Vitality Rising Bees, and some of that, just a lot of that comes through in the farm. You look specifically the mid and jungle position here.
Yeah.
Lots of farm advantage. This Nefiri has been building gold very, very fast.
Absolutely. You can see it not really reflected so far in the jungle, but very strongly reflected at the moment in the mid lane, as there's But again, heavy skirmishing in the bottom side, and actually, now Delicate's arrived, maybe you want to keep going on this one. Everybody should be able to walk away. No, in the mid lane, you are seeing it reflected right now in terms of the items. Got that Ludens completed already, 3 stacks as well on a Dark Seal here for Rim. I was over on the other side, some scraps, some components, some boots, the only thing available to Apollonia. And so she's going to be a lot less strong when it comes to these skirmishes around these objectives.
Ooh. This is a bit of an awkward one for the Rising Bees here. As you can see, they don't have the ability to get Cosmic into this fight very easily. It is a Jhin. Can open up that curtain call, see if that's going to be the play. It will be now, and everybody's starting to turn around, seeing everything in their eyes. They're going to move forward onto this Orianna, who is in trouble. Backs away, back to the team. We're going to see Delicate go in, have to flash back out, and this is a messy, messy fight. Seeing SK pull back away because in comes Alpi, who is going to push away all of SK. The HP bars cannot keep up, and there's no deaths, but there is an early win. Now we finally get Wolfie down, and Vitality Rising Bees find their way in this fight.
There you go. I mean, you highlighted it beautifully, right? It was an awkward entry into the fight. Really ended up with Cosmic split quite far out from where you were expecting her to be able to enter the fight. Still, with the curtain call opening up, not that much damage on the Jhin at this point. The possibly more important thing to that team fight is the fact that you have OP having to base and then run back into this team fight, I think. Possibly teleported up to one of the closer towers. No, fully had to run into this team fight. Yeah, so was super, super late. And at this point where you've got Wolfie involved, you've got the ability to go forwards with your tanky Ornn, things are looking really good here for SK Avarosa, but eventually, finally, OP arrives, and at the point at which you get this Aatrox involved, now you can turn this one back around. It's just a bit of a mistiming on the fight.
It's the most anime entrance that Alpi could possibly ask for, when the team is bleeding and on the ground and it feels like all hope is lost. In comes Alpi to save the day, and they get a kill out of it. Also, we just see a kill in the mid lane onto Nenris, who gets a little caught out, so that is another death for the Senna, which means this dragon likely going to be started up one more time, and this time with the man advantage, it should be an easy pickup for Vitality Rising Bees.
The response on the other side of the map should be this Rift Herald picked up nice and easily right here for Ishia. And things, again, as much as we've been talking about how there's small advantages coming back and forth, still pretty even overall. Vitality finally being able to crack themselves open a little bit of a gold lead, about 3,000 at the moment. I'll take a look back at the kill that we missed, and
that will do it. That will do it. Yep, nope, that's pretty much like the exact thing that will happen when Jhin and Neferi exist.
Yes.
And
you
are
think you
Senna.
can step up in a lane? No. Absolutely not. The Senna really is going to need another 20 minutes of souls just simply to have the range to survive in this game. Because if you're stepping up as much as you need to at the moment as Nemprius, you're just going to get taken out pretty much every time.
Absolutely. A little unfortunate there, but a little more money in the pocket for this Jhin, as Cosmic would definitely love to get going a little faster here, especially when you look at the build that we're seeing on this Jhin, rushing the lethality. This is going to struggle as we get further into the game. This Ornn, this Nautilus, this
you are
Jarvan.
not killing them.
You are not going to be killing them. Speaking of killing, we are seeing a lot of damage being put down onto this Bard, who will just ult himself to stay alive. In comes Delicate, who's going to go straight onto Apollonia, who goes down. A double kill going over to Alpi, and they're just going to dive under this tower. There is not likely a way out of this, as a triple kill over to Alpi. Delicate Yushia tried to do everything in her power, could not survive. And all of a sudden, Alpi is now a raid boss.
This is the thing, right? As much as you're getting solo killed in lane, because Ornn just be like that sometimes, you're still an Aatrox, still one of the strongest, just full-blown, I'm gonna run at you champions in the top lane. That, the Cassante, really the premiers of those picks, and I just love watching the Aatrox play that little bit more. In this situation as well, you are insta-TPing in. You're going to catch a wave bot lane, but immediate reaction to come and join up with the rest of the team. And look at the healing as well. OP is tanking this tower for a long time. Starts tanking it about now. Gets
so
pretty
is the
low.
shield.
Yeah.
as well.
Boom.
Yeah,
Just one
huge.
auto
like
attack.
700 HP off of
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Disgusting.
crazy amounts. Or I think also in that fight we just see the one of the things that we were a little worried about looking at the draft, which was the Aurora damage. Just is not impactful yet.
No.
We hit everything that Aurora had, but that damage is not strong yet, and that's causing a problem in these early fights.
You've fallen behind in terms of CS. You've got yourself the rocket belt, so a little bit of extra mobility does provide the damage, but not that big oomph, not that big impact that, say, a Ludens on an Orianna is providing. You've got to be getting into the backline in this game and blowing up either the Orianna or the Jhin, but those champions have sat quite far back, and you're dealing with raid bosses in front of them. We were intrigued, let's say, by the Aurora when it was picked up. So far, hasn't quite impressed.
Yeah, it's one of those champions that feels very like you either go crazy on it and could just hit R and delete everybody, or you have a game like this that you're kind of falling behind and it doesn't feel like your champion does a whole lot, because if you don't one-shot people, that's kind of the champ.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you're saying, right, the Between Worlds is doing a lot of damage. We saw it in that team fight down in the bottom side of the map. Still, will do big damage, but it's not doing enough, and you don't have the follow-up afterwards from the rest of your team yet, or from just your own damage, to be able to make that work. Potential another catch right here. Wolfie has to turn tail and run. Teleport's coming in as well.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot being inputted into this. Wolfie's trying to get back over to the team. We're going to see Alpi get caught out a little bit. They're just going to use the ult onto the Aatrox, try and do everything in their power to keep this Aatrox down, but cannot kill just yet. Aatrox is still
healing.
Alpi is still going in the bounce house. It doesn't matter. Alpi's so strong, massive shockwave, and they can't kill a single person. That is disaster for SK.
Oh, that is everything you didn't want to have happen right here. Vitality Rising Bees, they're going to be able to turn around and pick themselves up the Baron as well. A 20-minute Baron for the Rising Bees. They are in complete control of this one.
I know I said Alpi was a raid boss. I didn't that was not supposed to be like we need a demonstration.
Yeah.
That was
gross.
Absurd.
That was horrific to watch if you're an SK Avarosa fan or player. Baron does go over right here, and the gold lead extends out to 10,000. Have a look back at this one, and let's have a look at just how much health remains, because look at the damage numbers as well coming on through. Big damage being put down by SK Avarosa, but they're just not able to deal that last tick. What was that? That was like 100 HP maximum?
Yeah. Look at how CC'd they had that Aatrox throughout that entire fight, too. Just the amount of times I saw Alpi going up in the air, just knocked up over and over again, doesn't matter. As long as that auto attack can get through, as long as that Aatrox passive can hit a champion to just pop a huge heal, it is disgusting. On top of the fact that you also have the Sundered Sky giving healing on top of that. It's
auto attack,
bonkers.
It's crazy right here, but I also don't want all of the focus onto this disgusting Aatrox play to take away from the fact that Rim also hit a beautiful shockwave in that fight. Like, that shockwave turns that fight from it's good into it's brilliant, and potentially let's see if they can do it again.
And not going to get it just yet. Looking for it. Shockwave still needs to come through.
Will not
get it. Will survive as the curtain calls now, doing so much damage, and Alpi just continuing to dive. This one might be a little bit too deep. The tower is doing a lot, and there is still Nenris able to stay alive, able to put down a little bit of damage, but there's not a whole lot of front line to work with, so this Senna doesn't have the support to do anything, and they're just going to watch this inhibitor fall. Inhibitor tower in the mid lane also going to go down as well. Vitality Rising Bees, they lose a member, but they get a lot in this fight.
Absolutely they do. You're going to be more than happy with this one overall. 11,000, basically 12,000 gold going to be the advantage, and you can really see it right now reflected in all of these items. They're just wallet diff at this point, and hang on, we're going to jump into a replay, but I think when we jump back out of it, there may be a death.
There may not be a Yushia around. Good Bartle as well. Look at how
Watch
that
again,
stopped.
Rim living this.
Yeah.
The
Rim
fancy
just-
feet right here, right at the end. Nice dodge away.
Beautiful.
Crazy ability to survive. You know that it's a game that's infuriating for the opponents to watch when it's not actually the Neferi that's annoying you by not being able to kill it.
Yeah.
It's instead the Orianna for some reason. That should have been the primary target in a lot of these fights, and instead 0 deaths right now onto him.
Yeah. Stayed alive for so long, and now I'm just kind of keeping my eyes open because yeah, there's 1 kill on the Orianna, 11 assists, and a lot of gold in terms of the CS differential here. So this Orianna is going to hit like a truck. This is the burst Orianna. So if that hits onto the Senna, if it hits onto the Aurora, those champions are going to disappear, especially without being able to follow up on that.
Absolutely, and this is a real routing to be watching right here. A composition that I didn't love out of SKA Verosa, but I thought potentially had some places to play around, but we kind of just saw a little bit too much hesitation early on from SKA Verosa and none from Vitality.
Oh, big Bartle here. Not going to get the stun afterwards. Has to flash out of the Cataclysm as Yushia is just trying to buy so much time just so they can kill Alpi in the backline. But Alpi still has not gone down. Will be able to back away. Walks over, gets a shield, goes onto the tower. No. Will go down now. The tower giving that little bit of oomph. And now the Aurora ult comes through. That will give them another kill. The shutdown actually goes on to ASC, which is not who you want it on, but it is kill gold nonetheless.
Indeed, as much as it's not ideal, it's something. SKA Verosa going to live to fight another day, and they just had a little bit too much damage. Opie just about going to go down. Really funny right there. Probably could have lived, but stepped underneath the tower, which was also on a sliver of HP at that point. Takes 1 extra tower shot, ends up going down. Look at this gold graph, though. This is incredible domination here out of Vitality. As much as they did just mess that team fight up a little bit, still going to be more than in a good spot to win this one out. And it's incredible to see, right? Because these are both teams coming into today 2-0.
Yeah.
SK haven't exactly beaten some nobodies either, right? They were able to play a really good game for themselves versus Babylon. They were able to win versus PCS Athena as well. So some pretty decent teams to pick wins up versus. But Vitality are just all over this game.
Yeah, and it feels like SKA Verosa have picked a composition that really does want to like kind of scale and get later into that game, but they're not getting that opportunity because in comes Bard once again, will not get the stun, EQ over the wall as Yushia cannot get back over to the team, has to just use the Cataclysm to give something for the team to work with, but it is not going to be enough. Wolfie slowly walking back over to the team. You can see the Senna just trying to do something, but these auto attacks don't mean a thing right now, and that is going to be another inhib going down in just a shot or two. Wolfie hitting the knockup, minions coming in. They're not going to be able to get this inhib, actually. They're going to hold off.
Yeah, no, in this situation as Cosmic, you cannot afford to step up too close, otherwise you will just get Dredgeline. Actually does in the end, and this Jhin, very squishy.
Will take a lot of damage, but there was no actual damage to kill this Jhin, so it will be Cosmic walking away from this. Gonna just go right over to the Baron, and they're gonna have enough damage to pop this one real fast as SK have enough to worry about in their own base.
Absolutely, they had minions pouring in through the bottom side of the map. That open bot lane inhibitor results in that Nexus tower going down. Now they've got themselves in a pretty weak spot overall, as you would imagine. Now, 50 seconds until the next Drake is going to spawn. It will be the first Drake picked up by SKA Verosa if they're able to grab it, but with resets coming through, with the Baron buff now applied onto the Vitality Rising B members, with the gold lead that they have, they're going to be looking to close this one out. Whether or not it's going to be around the Drake or in their opponent's base is really up to SKA Verosa.
It is, I think, going to be a bit of a split push angle here, because what do you do against Alpi? I think is the real question.
Send everything and the kitchen sink, right? You've got to send everyone, and at that point, you're going to lose the rest of the map. It's such a tough situation.
Yeah, I was gonna say you do that and you kind of lose everything else. Now we've got TPs coming in as there's just a big fight happening. Ult used by Apollonia in the backline, but it's not going to get enough. Big shockwave onto 3, and the Senna's gone. And I think the hopes of a win for SK have gone with it. Yushia just gets eviscerated as they will give another kill over to the Oriana, and Wolfie is alive, but for how long? Not very, as an ace comes through for the Vitality Rising Bees. They will claim this game easily.
Nice. Quick, easy victory right here. 28 minutes for Vitality. And they are going to go to 3-0 in Stage 2 Swiss, looking like one of the teams to beat. Hey, with G2 losing in their previous round, they are looking like the team to beat at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. That was not just domination from a standpoint of yeah, mechanically it was really played well, but also just it seemed like control of the game was always in Vitality Rising Bees. SK had some points where they had some successes, but it was a team that needed to hit the late game, and this game was just 25 minutes.
Yeah, it was a really quick victory overall. Was able to just kind of dismantle their opponents from start to finish, and again, a lot of praise is going to be going up into the top lane for good reason. OP was playing a really solid Aatrox game, but hey, got a solo kill by an Ornn, can't heap the praise on too much. And again, you've got to give a lot of praise to Rim. I think between OP
100%.
and Rim, those two were just killers right there. Because if you try to get close enough to the Aatrox to get a kill onto it, you get hit by the shockwave. And if you try to play too far back and just keep running away, that's when you're opening up for Cosmic to be able to do her thing and just play the rest of the game. It was putting SKA Rosa in an impossible situation, and the result was sort of written out before us once we saw that first disgusting team fight from OP on the Aatrox.
Yeah, it was there is no good decision to be made for SK Avarosa, and we see where that ended them. It did give them their first loss here. Vitality Rising Beast now 3-0 on the day, but we do have more games for you. We are going to be setting it to a break while we get ready for those games, though, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back.